Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rux, I'm Western Tropical Astrologer, and today we're going to be talking about your October horoscopes, folks. And October kicks off with another eclipse. That's right, eclipse season is still on. We have a solar eclipse happening in Libra on the 2nd of October. It's an eclipse with a south node. So what does that mean? It's bringing in some sort of a fresh start that involves the release of a relationship or of the existing dynamic within a relationship. My recommendation is to also have a think about what was going on in your life in July of this year, because the south node was at the degree of the eclipse in July. So we are potentially going to see some sort of a correlation or correspondence between what was going on in our lives in July and what's happening at the beginning of October. Now, you know how I always say, the eclipse may also be felt a week before and a week after it actually happens. There's a lot of water in the sky at the time of the eclipse. Venus in Scorpio, Saturn in Pisces, Mars in Cancer. A lot of feelings and emotions are probably going to come to the surface. They're also going to be, once again, released. That is the key word. If I were to make one recommendation, it would be let your intuition be your guide in terms of what needs to go or who needs to go or who needs to get out of your life. Eclipses are generally said to put us back on track when it comes to fulfilling our destiny in some shape or form. Now, I literally jumped right into the astrology of October. The excitement of the eclipse kind of like took over. We're gonna go through the updates for each of the 12 zodiac signs, obviously. My recommendation would be to listen to the update, to listen to the horoscope for your rising sign, because these types of general horoscopes are built with the rising sign in mind, with the ascendant. The ascendant is the exact degree of the rising sign in mind. If you don't know your rising sign, if you don't know your ascendant, of course you can listen to the update for your sun sign. But again, I recommend finding out your rising sign. How can you do that? Well, you need to know your date, time, and place of birth. You can ask your parents for your time of birth, or check your birth certificate, or call the hospital. And there's a lot of like free online natal chart generators where you can put in your birthday details, and they're gonna create your birth chart. They're gonna show you what your birth chart looks like, which is the map of the sky at the time when you were born. And that's also gonna tell you what your rising sign is. Our rising sign is our window to the world. And the rising sign is also very important in terms of the delineation of the various life sectors within our natal chart, which is why general horoscopes like this follow the rising sign. But again, before we go into the updates for each of the 12 zodiac signs, we're going to go through the key astrological events of the month. And before that, I have a few things that I would like to share. The first thing being the following. I'm a Western Tropical Astrologer, and all content on my channel follows Western Tropical Astrology. Secondly, in my practice, I use the whole sign house system. If you use Placidus or equal houses or whatever house system, I don't know, Alcabitius you want to use, that's completely up to you. In my practice, and even in these general horoscopes, I use the whole sign house system. Now, speaking of my practice, I am a full-time consulting astrologer. I work with clients on a day-to-day basis, on personal readings, on personal astrological consultations, following their natal chart. Which is, again, the map of the sky at the time when we were born. It is my passion, and I feel also that it is part of my mission and purpose to help people reconnect with their soul's intentions and mission with the use and with the help of astrology, which is this tool that helps us find our way back or reconnect, let's say, with our higher selves, with our divine selves, with the parts of us that have some sort of link with the divine. It is also my passion to help people understand the timeline of their lives. Timing is everything, as Many times we might have realized that. And astrology is an incredible tool when it comes to better understanding what chapter of life we're in, how we can use the cosmic tides in our favor rather than swim against the current or swim against the tide. If you want to work with me, the place where you can purchase my services, where you can purchase a personal astrological consultation with me, is my website. Written in the stars-astrology.com. That is written in the stars-astrology.com. It's also in the pinned comment and in the description box. You can go straight to the services section, and if you're a new client, the 1 hour, 15 minutes Zoom consultation is the option to go for. If you're an existing client, there's 2 additional options. The year ahead forecast, focusing on the next 12 months, and also the 30 minutes follow-up consultation if you would like to talk, for example, about one specific topic, such as career or relationships, or you have certain questions that you want me to address. Written in the stars-astrology.com. In my practice, I focus on natal chart analysis, year ahead forecasting, using a variety of techniques, not just transits, but also annual perfections, the Firdaria, secondary progressions, solar arc directions. Maybe this is too much geeking out, but just in case you're curious, the 1 hour, 15 minute Zoom consultation is completely customizable to your needs. So if you're not interested in natal chart analysis or year ahead forecasting, we can also emphasize topics such as compatibility, synastry, composite charts, astrocartography. Vocational astrology is also something that I'm very, very, very passionate about. I do believe astrology can help us find a path that genuinely works and that helps us feel fulfilled from a professional and vocational perspective. So again, the reading with me, the consultation with me is completely customizable to your needs, and you can always come back if you've got more questions. You can schedule follow-ups. You can check in every year, which is what a lot of people actually do. A lot of my clients come back several times a year, and many of them do come back at least once a year around their birthday, so that they can better understand what the year ahead has in store for them, how they can maximize opportunities, address challenges, and so on. So you know where to find me. If you are interested in booking a consultation with me, just so you know, when I'm filming this, which is on the 18th of September, I'm taking bookings for the second half of October and the beginning of November. So generally there is some sort of waiting time between a month to a month and a half in order for us to actually catch up on Zoom and do the consultation. Now let's go back to the astrology of October, folks. As I said, the month starts off really strong with a solar eclipse in Libra. Receive whatever needs to be received, release whatever needs to be released, let go of problematic relationships, problematic emotions, and also my recommendation is to be really, really honest with yourselves. That's just the way that I see this. 4th of October, Venus trines Saturn. I love this aspect because it feels like relationships can become stronger from a place of truth, from a place of commitment, from a place of being very open about skeletons in the closet or about like buried feelings. Collaborative work is also a key theme for this day. If you need to connect with someone and do some sort of like joint project that involves, I'm gonna say, your imagination, but also a lot of like emotional intelligence, you're probably gonna be very successful on the 4th of October, maybe also the day before. 8th of October, Venus trines Mars. Venus in Scorpio trines Mars in Cancer. This is a very romantic day, just like the 16th of October when Venus trines Neptune. Maybe the 16th of October is the most romantic day of the month, very possibly, because let's face it, Venus loves a little bit of like unconditional Neptunian energy. And Neptune can also be very glamorous. It can create this sort of like ethereal, out of this world feeling. So a lot of like unconditional love and living the dream somehow romantically can be a theme on the 16th of October. But going back to the 8th of October, Venus trining Mars. This can also be romantic, but in a more physical way. Mars is about like physical kind of like passion. Venus is about like valuing others. Scorpio is also a sign of intimacy, so great sex on the 8th of October. for everyone. This can also feel like a really good day when it comes to allowing someone else to take the lead and following someone else's kind of like leadership. It's also a great time to really maybe take action in connection or in conjunction with a family member or with someone that is really close to you that you see as family. Maybe also it's a great day to defend someone who feels very close, who you have a lot of like emotional attachment towards. They could defend you. They could stand up for you, I'd say. 9th of October, Jupiter goes retrograde in Gemini, and this is going to be a bit of a theme until the end of the year. 12th of October, Pluto goes direct in Capricorn. Oh my God, I feel like I have to say this. So as Pluto dipped back into Capricorn, I read in the news that like a big, I don't know, like international company decided that they're going to call everyone back from home to work into the office 5 days a week once again, after they have had given them permission to work, I don't know, like a couple of days from home. I feel like this is, I don't know, the status quo's last, like final last ditch attempt to take control and to impose their authority. But folks, Pluto's going to go back into Aquarius once again. So power to the people very, very, very shortly. I don't think this is going to play out nicely for this company, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. 13th of October, Mercury goes into Scorpio. So our minds become a lot more, I don't know, like investigation oriented. 14th of October, the Sun trines Jupiter in Gemini. There is a sense of like buoyancy in relationships, of kind of like really enjoyable like conversations and collaborations and like learning from others. But the Sun also squares Mars, so there could be some sort of like buried kind of like friction or frustration that people might try to, I don't know, like disregard. And also on the 14th of October, Venus opposes Uranus. Disruption in relationships, sudden unexpected developments in relationships can be a little bit of a theme. 16th of October, as I said, Venus trines Neptune. Not only is this like the most romantic day of the month, it's also a great day for any sort of creative, artistic, imaginative activities. I'm thinking of like poetry, painting, music, composing music, all of that jazz. 17th of October, probably the most challenging time of the month. We've got a lot of supportive energy up until that point, as you can tell. But the 17th of October, with the full moon in Aries, in conjunction to Chiron, and squaring Mars in Cancer, conflicts abound. I do believe that there's going to be some sort of a fight, some sort of a conflict, some sort of an argument in some shape or form popping up in the lives of many people. Okay, we may feel the need to stand up for ourselves, to defend ourselves, or maybe to defend our families or our roots or our home. Inflammatory behavior and escalation of conflict can be a key theme here. Mars, however, trines Neptune and Venus at the time of this full moon. If we find a little bit of empathy, if we find a little bit of compassion in our hearts, if we don't take things personally, if we find a way to forgive, if we find a way to realize that everyone's acting from a place of hurt, I believe that we can overcome this kind of like frustrating, angry energy that is coming up at the time of this full moon. 17th of October until the 11th of November, Venus transits Sagittarius. Activities of a Sagittarian nature, such as traveling, studying, exploring, connecting with different cultures, are probably going to be extra enjoyable. 22nd of October, Scorpio season starts. And before the Sun goes into Scorpio for the next month, also on the 22nd of October, and we might feel it the day before as well, the Sun squares Pluto. I feel like we could become aware of some sort of a hidden, buried element that plays an important role within an alliance, within a partnership, within a union. It could be something political that comes to the surface, right? When I see the Sun squaring Pluto, I'm like, okay, we can probably find out that someone's got some dirt on, I don't know, someone else. Maybe on a politician, potentially. 20th of October, Venus squares Saturn. Okay, this is not a great day for collaboration. I'm just going to put it out there. Collaboration might feel very hard and confusing and difficult. It's generally not a great day for connection with others. If we have to do something for someone else, we might feel like, oh, this is so hard and it's really not what I want to do. Mars, however, trines Saturn. This is a great day to work by ourselves, to work in a self-sufficient manner, to work independently and individually. And we're probably going to make a lot of progress if we focus on individual effort around this time. We can also achieve a lot if we focus on building something, I'd say. So these are the most important dates of October. Now, of course, we're going to go into the updates for each of the 12 zodiac signs. My dear Aries, Aries suns and Aries risings, October of 2024. What does it look like for you? Well, Aries, the month kicks off with a solar eclipse happening in your house of relationships. I have actually filmed a separate video on the eclipse that's happening on the 2nd of October. If you haven't watched that, I do recommend that you watch it. Let's also talk a little bit about what this eclipse might bring up. So solar eclipses are essentially new moons. It is a fresh start. It is a new beginning that this eclipse is bringing in. It's a very significant new beginning when it comes to one particular relationship in your life. Now, it could be a romantic relationship. It could also be a business partnership. It could also be a relationship potentially with a family member. It feels like the dynamic within one of these relationships is probably going to shift. It feels like something's going to change. Things are going to work differently moving forward. The reason why I believe this will be the case is because this eclipse is happening with the South Node, and the South Node emphasizes the need to release, to let go, to give up on the way things have been working so far to a certain extent. I feel like this could play out in a few different ways. First and foremost, there is a possibility that someone who you're in a relationship with might go through some changes in their life, and they might come in and say, listen, because I'm experiencing these changes, I would like us to work differently together. And when I say work differently, I don't necessarily mean in a professional sense, although that could very well be the case. It could feel like this person is experiencing some sort of transformation, some sort of rebirth of their own. So let's say you have a business partner and they're going through something in their life, and they come to you and they share the fact that they will need, I don't know, a break from the collaboration, from the partnership. Or they come in and they tell you, listen, I'm not doing that well financially. I'm going to need us to work differently together. Whatever it is, transformation is the key word. It does look like the spotlight is also going to be placed on finances and the financial implications of this change. There is a possibility that you might work less with someone moving forward. There is a possibility that you might support someone less financially moving forward, my dear Aries. There's also a possibility, if you're in a relationship, romantically speaking, especially long-term relationship or marriage, that your partner could be going through a bit of a reset from a material standpoint. So maybe they're giving up on a job, maybe they're leaving their job behind, or maybe they're giving up on a source of income. In any case, it looks like the financial sector is probably going to be one that needs to be discussed and addressed. I also believe that someone could come into your life and they could be your spouse. They could be, as I said, maybe a business partner, maybe an advisor, a consultant, a collaborator of some sorts, and they might share with you some of their deeper, more profound kind of like feelings and experiences. And as a result, once again, it looks like things are probably going to work differently between the two of you moving forward. I do believe that you can still work together with this person, metaphorically speaking, but you might also need to make this person feel heard. You might need to really empathize with them and understand where they are coming from. Last but not least, you could give up on a few potentially relationships, maybe with advisors, consultants, and say, you know what, I'm going to direct my money someplace else. I'm going to direct my time and energy and resources someplace else. 4th of October, Venus trines Saturn. I believe that here is where you could work in conjunction with someone. You could collaborate with someone on something tangible, something concrete, potentially that has something to do with either your professional life or their professional life. I feel like you're helping them with someone. You could be helping them, or let's put it this way. It's a good time to help someone selflessly because they may be able to also support you in return in the future. And I'm not saying help them because you're going to get something out of it, but I am saying that they may be able to return the favor. It also feels like things are stabilizing. Things are becoming calmer and a little bit more relaxed, emotionally speaking, within one of your relationships. It could be the relationship that you have with a spouse. It could be the relationship that you have with a business partner. It could be the relationship that you have with a boss or someone in a position of authority. So things are calmer, potentially after the very emotional solar eclipse happening at the beginning of the month. By the way, the solar eclipse on the 2nd of October is probably going to be felt in terms of influence, in terms of impact, also the week before and the week after the 2nd of October. 8th of October, Venus is going to trine Mars. I mean, I like this. You're probably also maybe going to feel it the day before and the day after, this aspect. The 4th and the 8th of October are some really good days for you to work on your relationships. They are some really good days also for you to be there for someone that you love. They are also very good days for you to work on your romantic life, to do something nice, to take action, to take the initiative when it comes to doing something nice for a partner. The 8th of October, and potentially also the day before, is a very, very good day for intimacy and for a very kind of like close, heartfelt, profound connection with a significant other, with a romantic partner. The 8th of October is also a very, very good day in which you might be able to kind of like to step up and to take action, to, how should I put it? I don't want to say necessarily to guide, but yeah, literally to kind of like to be there for someone in your family and to help them through something, maybe help them clear out something, maybe help them address an issue in their lives. 9th of October, Jupiter goes retrograde for the next few months, so I do believe that this is a very good time, Aries, at least for the next few months, to take stock of some of the things that you have learned since May of this year. If you have learned anything new, if you have kind of like broadened your skill set in some shape or form, if you have focused in any shape or form on education. 13th of October, Mercury goes into Scorpio in your 8th house all the way until the end of the month. It's actually going to be there for a little bit in November as well. So it feels like your thoughts, your mind, your intellect are all going towards, they're kind of like directed towards financial matters, towards matters that have to do maybe with debts, taxes, potentially inheritance. You might also feel like you're pulled into some really intense, serious conversations for the rest of the month, especially when it comes to interactions with colleagues, co-workers, clients possibly, but maybe also siblings and neighbors, I'd say. 14th of October, it's an interesting day because the sun is trining Jupiter. So I do believe that this is a very good day when it comes to reaching an agreement with someone, reaching an agreement in terms of how a collaboration, a partnership, maybe a relationship can grow, how it can evolve. You might feel really understood by this person might feel really understood by you. It does feel like you're kind of like uplifting each other. You might have some big plans together. It can also be a really fun day, a really entertaining day in which you have some conversations that spark a lot of inspiration and enthusiasm and creativity between you and someone else. This is a very good day to also potentially buy or sell something, the 14th of October. You might also feel like someone really gets you. They really get the direction in which you want to grow, the direction in which you are excited to step into and kind of like to step up as an individual. It's a day to get really good advice from someone, my dear Aries, but on the same day, the Sun squares Mars. So I feel like there is a possibility that the relationship with someone that you live with, or it could just be with a family member in general, is not necessarily going in the direction that you expected it to go. It could feel like potentially a parent or a family member in general doesn't understand what makes you angry or what gets you defensive, and they inadvertently push your buttons. On the same day, Venus opposes Uranus. There is a possibility that you might have to deal with some sort of an unexpected expense, or that a partner in your life, if you are in a relationship, might have to deal with an unexpected expense. There is a possibility that a partner could also bring some sudden and potentially not so happy news connected with finances to your attention. So I would keep an eye on your finances around this day. 16th of October, Venus trines Neptune. I mean, we've got some really nice Venus aspects this month. I have to put it this way. Even though the eclipse at the beginning of the month might kind of like shake up your relationship sector a little bit, my dear Aries, I feel like some relationships could actually become a lot deeper, a lot more profound, a lot closer. You could bond a lot more closely with someone, and it doesn't have to be romantically. It could be, as I said, it could be with a family member. It could be with your child, for example. It could be with even someone that you work with. You might feel a lot closer to them. The 16th of October feels like another day in which a relationship becomes deeper, it becomes more profound. You might feel really understood by someone. You might really resonate with them. They might resonate with you. It's also a very romantic day, the 16th of October, potentially also the day before. I feel like you're gonna be able to either give or receive, or both, around the 16th of October, Aries. This elusive, how should we call it, unconditional love. It's also a very good day, the 16th of October, to kind of like step into this sort of like romantic bubble if you are with someone, and just kind of like enjoy, I don't know, like a sweet escape, just the two of you. 17th of October, okay. Active 3 days before, 3 days after. This is not necessarily my favorite day of the month. It's a full moon in Aries. It's not my favorite astrological event of the month. It's actually quite a tense full moon. So the full moon is activating your first house, 7th house axis, the axis of relationships, but also the axis of opposition, of kind of like dealing with adversaries, with, I don't want to call them enemies because that sounds super dramatic, but you might feel like you are dealing with a very strong adversary around this time. I do feel like someone is kind of like opposing you really strongly, let's say. You might feel like someone is very much against you, and you're probably gonna feel really angry. I'm just gonna say it. It is a time of frustration. It is a time of getting angry with someone. It is a time when you might feel like you need to step up and to assert yourselves, Aries. You're naturally very good at doing that, so that's okay. That's okay. But you might feel a little bit attacked. You might feel wounded. You might feel like someone put salt on a wound in your case, because the full moon is also going to activate Chiron. It feels like the person who you might be angry with is either a family member, and a relationship might really kind of like go through a very difficult time with a family member. At the same time, you might also feel the need to step up and to defend a family member. So it depends how this is gonna go. It depends how this is gonna play out. In any case, you seem to be triggered. You could also be triggered by someone who's got nothing to do with your family. They're like a random person. But the reason why you're triggered is because whatever they do or say seems to activate some sort of like childhood wound. So I would remember that. I would keep that in mind when you react to something that is going on. And before you jump at them, before you, I don't know, like have a go at them, I would really take a step back and ask myself, is this person really attacking me directly, or do I feel attacked because my inner child is screaming internally? That is the question. Mars, the ruler of the full moon, it is going to be squaring the full moon, so we've got a lot of frustration, we've got a lot of friction, of tension. There might even be a few tears, but tears are not necessarily a bad thing. Many times tears are actually really good because they are the body's way of releasing tension. So if you feel like crying, cry. Mars, the ruler of the full moon, is going to be in a nice aspect to Neptune and also to Venus. I feel like even though you could get really angry with someone, there is a chance at this point in time to heal from something that caused pain and suffering so far on your end in your interactions with others. So I feel like something good could come out of this, which is healing, which is a deeper understanding of who you are, of what's important to you, of what your needs are. And paradoxically, even with this person that you might get angry with, you might end up ultimately being a lot closer with them. So not too bad, not too bad. But are you gonna feel on edge? Yes, potentially, Aries. Also 17th of October until the 11th of November, Venus transits Sagittarius in your 9th house. You are getting... You're able to catch your breath when it comes to interactions with others finally, because Venus is getting out of Scorpio where it doesn't really like to be, and Venus rules your relationship sector. Also, my dear Aries, especially Aries risings, with Venus transiting your 9th house, I do believe you're going to get a lot of joy and pleasure. And you're actually very nicely supported when it comes to all matters connected with traveling, when it comes to all matters connected with courts of law, when it comes to all matters connected with potentially spiritual endeavors, but maybe also academic endeavors. And if you want to travel with a partner, or if you want to travel for business, actually, for business purposes, the period from the 17th of October until the 11th of November is very, very much worth taking into account, with one exception. I don't like the 28th of October, maybe also the day before, because Venus is squaring Saturn. So if you do need to travel, I would potentially avoid the 28th of October and maybe also the day before, because it might just feel like things are, I don't know, like not going according to plan, essentially, when it comes to traveling. There is a possibility that if you are traveling, there could be some issues at work, there could be some problems at work, maybe with a client, maybe with a boss, and you're not able to like fully enjoy your trip. But alas, if you have to, you have to. The 20th of October, you might also need to be very cautious in terms of how you interact with someone from a different culture, because you might inadvertently do or say the wrong thing. So caution is going to take you a very, very, very long way. Going a little bit back in time, 22nd of October, the sun goes into Scorpio. It illuminates your intimacy sector and also the sector of investments and of other people's money. But beforehand, also on the 22nd of October, it squares Pluto. So you might have a little bit of a kind of like power clash with someone in a position of authority on the 22nd of October. Be very careful, because this person might have more power than you actually think that they have. So choose your battles wisely, I'd say. 20th of October, apart from the fact that Venus is squaring Saturn, Mars is going to be trining Saturn as well, which I like. So this is actually a day in which 20th of October, you might not work well with others, but you might work well independently by yourself on something that requires a lot of like energy, but also focus and concentration and, how should I call it? Emotional composure. You seem to be able to get the job done. And don't feel like you have to share whatever it is that you're working on. Don't feel like you have to share your efforts. Don't feel like you have to share every single step of the way, because people might not get it. And you are much better off on the 28th of October working maybe behind the scenes, as I said, independently in a self-sufficient manner, and you're probably going to also very successfully reach your target, Aries. Now let us move on to Taurus. Taurus suns and Taurus risings. My dear Taurians, October of 2024. What's going on? What can you expect? What does it have in store for you? Well, the month starts off with an eclipse. I have actually filmed a separate video for the eclipse happening on the 2nd of October. You can watch that. I strongly recommend that you watch that, but let's also talk a little bit about the eclipse in this update. So the eclipse is happening in your 6th house of day-to-day work and health. It's going to be active also week before, week after, so you might have been already feeling its influence since the end of September. Venus is going to be trining Saturn and Mars at the time of the eclipse. So I feel like there's going to be some changes happening. A fresh start, a new beginning that involves a release, a letting go, a fresh start in your work sector, very possibly. Some of you could be leaving behind the job. Some of you could be stepping into a new team, into a new role. Some of you could be leaving behind some old health and wellness, or should I say health and illness related habits. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm trying to like do this kind of like funny play on words. Essentially, you might give up on some unhealthy habits around this time, Taurians. It's actually the perfect moment for you to say, enough is enough. I'm no longer going to be sabotaging my health. I'm going to give up on XYZ because this is not healthy. This is not serving my my health, wellness, and well-being. When it comes to the work environment, or to the work sector, better said, there is a possibility that someone might leave the team. There is a possibility that you may no longer work with someone, or as I've said, there is also a very high chance that you might start a new job, whether that is within the same company that you've been working for, or outside of the company that you've been working for. That's going to be up to you. You have to remember that astrology is only symbolically and archetypally predictive, my dear Taurians. It does not predict exact concrete material manifestation because we also have free will. And it's going to be up to us to decide how we act, how we react, how we respond to the energies unfolding in the world. Things seem to be changing at work. So no matter where you are, new maybe ways of working, new potentially new tasks, new to-do list, I'd say. I do believe there's going to be some changes in terms of the people that you work with. So someone potentially leaving, someone new coming in, maybe you working for different clients. I feel like you might actually get along a lot better with these new people that you're gonna work with. You're probably going to feel much more emotionally and intuitively at peace with these people. New collaborations are possible when it comes to your health as well. So if you've decided, you know what, I'm gonna go to the gym and I want to hire a personal trainer, this is it. This is the time when you might find the right person, Taurians. 4th of October, Venus trines Saturn. I feel like this is a very, very good day to work really closely and in a very focused and concentrated manner with someone in the professional space. It feels like you're achieving a lot together. It feels like the collaboration between you and this person is very successful. It feels like you're achieving some sort of joint common goal together. And as I said, emotionally, instinctively, you seem to feel very, very good in the company of this person. They seem to feel really understood by you as well. This is a very good day also, the 4th of October, to sign a contract, to sign a long-term contract in some shape or form. It is also a very good day to reach out to someone that you want to collaborate with in the long term, or you might be pleasantly surprised to see someone reaching out to you and saying, you know what, let's do this thing together. I feel like we can achieve great things if we put our minds to it. 8th of October, also active maybe day before and day after. You're potentially going to feel it. Venus trines Mars. This is a very romantic time. So the 8th of October and I feel like also the 16th of October are probably the most romantic days of the month, Taurians. On the 8th of October, Venus trines Mars. I mean, Venus and Mars are the romantic kind of like a pair of astrology, of the zodiac. Venus being the divine feminine embodiment and Mars being strongly associated with the divine masculine. But like that's just at an archetypal and symbolic level. You don't have to take it literally. So this is a great day, 8th of October, to go out on a date, to get physical with someone, to maybe take action and reach out to someone that you have strong feelings for. If you're already in a relationship, to reach out to someone and to say, hey, we haven't been on a date for quite some time. Let's be spontaneous. Let's go on an adventure together. I feel like you can really trust your gut when it comes to how you approach a relationship, be it a romantic relationship, but also maybe a professional relationship. So if you feel like something's a little bit, I don't know, like not going as well as it could go for someone that you work with. Let's say you have a colleague or a client that's struggling. I do believe it could be a good idea to let your intuition and your instinct guide you and to say, I can step in, I can help you, I can remedy, I can, I don't know, like take care of this emergency for you. If you need help from someone, also do not hesitate to ask, because you're probably going to get it. In your personal life, in your professional life, it doesn't matter. Ask and ye shall be given, or ye shall receive. I think that's what they say. 9th of October, Jupiter goes retrograde in your second house of income and values. I would say that over the next few months, it could be a good idea to take a little bit of a step back and ask yourselves, Taurians, as of May, how has my value system evolved? How has my maybe approach to money and income evolved? What have I learned? How can I maybe implement what I have learned into my work so that I can further increase my income? Those are some very, very good questions to ask yourselves, Taurians, whilst Jupiter is retrograde. 13th of October, Mercury goes into Scorpio in your 7th house of relationships. I feel like you're going to think a lot and talk a lot about your relationship sector, but you might also think a lot about how other people are maybe trying to, like, I don't know, oppose you, attack you, stand up against you, sabotage you. So you might be thinking a lot about how your adversaries are thinking and where they are coming from, Taurus. Or maybe let's not call them adversaries, let's call them the competition, potentially. 14th of October, it's a mixed bag kind of day. There's some good things happening and there are some challenging things happening. So the challenging part is Venus is opposing Uranus. So you might feel like you want to cut someone out of your life, Taurians, or that you've had enough. You might feel like you want to rebel against someone, like you are maybe, I don't know, like being smothered or controlled, or potentially even emotionally manipulated by someone. It could be someone that you work with. It could also be that you might feel a little bit smothered by someone that you're in a relationship with. So you might need to tell them in a gentle way, listen, I need some space. You might also feel inclined to shock someone, either your partner or a coworker, a colleague, or someone who you've collaborated with so far. You might be like, yeah, no, I've had enough. I'm just gonna do things totally differently. You might also cancel on someone. Maybe you've had an appointment with them and you're like, no, it's not gonna work. The sun, however, on this day is going to trine Jupiter. Now I like this because it looks like the way that you're approaching maybe a work-related project is getting you extra kind of like brownie points. Your ideas are being appreciated. The ways in which you address, I don't know, the relationships within a team, that's all being like really strongly kind of like applauded and appreciated. It also feels like you are becoming increasingly confident in your own skill set, my dear Taurians, and it shows in the workspace. It's almost like you're giving off this air of confidence and enthusiasm, and people are picking up on that, and they might actually feel like really inclined to follow your lead or to take on board your ideas. So ideas are very highly valued within the workspace on this day, the ideas that you bring up. At the same time, the sun is squaring Mars, communication with someone in the workspace. So your ideas are great, but communication with someone in the workspace might inadvertently trigger them. It's not your intention to trigger them, they seem to get triggered nevertheless. So do tread carefully. 16th of October, as I said, it's another very romantic day. Venus is trining Neptune. I feel like this is a great day to go out on dates, to do romantic things with a partner. If you don't have a partner, to go out, to connect with people. You might fall for someone might fall for you if you're single. You might also be very inspired by someone. So if we leave romance to the side for a little bit, you might be very inspired by someone. It could be a friend, it could be someone that you, I don't know, connect with in a group type of setup. Let's say you go to a party and you connect with someone and they have great style and you're just kind of like in awe of their kind of like artistic sense and aesthetic and imagination. So you seem to like really appreciate someone on this day. It does seem to be a reciprocal thing. You might also benefit, if you're an artist, for example, you might benefit from kind of like external influence on this day. 17th of October, active 3 days before, 3 days after. This is potentially one of my least favorite days of the month because we've got a full moon in Aries, conjunct Chiron, the wounded healer, and squaring Mars. So I feel like something could blow up. It's fixable, but it might blow up. Nevertheless, my dear Taurians, you might be taken by surprise, especially in the workspace. You might be taken by surprise because you might feel like someone's been attacking you behind your back, or there is kind of like something that's been like festering or like bubbling underneath the surface and now it blows up. It does feel like you could have possibly some sort of a conflict in the workspace, some sort of a, what's the word? Altercation? I think conflict, argument is probably the word that I'm looking for. It could be quite painful. You might be very annoyed. You might be very frustrated. The other person might be very frustrated as well. It could be that it's not you that is frustrated, that someone comes at you and they're like, oh, why are you doing this? You don't appreciate me. I feel attacked. So challenging conversations in the workspace are very, very possible. There could also be some disruptive news, news that take you really by surprise, connected with a workspace. Maybe someone is leaving very suddenly. Maybe the flow of work is going to change really, really suddenly. You might also need to act really fast as a result of this. Health-wise, you might be feeling a bit off. So a state of inflammation is possible around this time. You might need to take it easy. You might need to slow down. You might need to sleep it off, potentially for a few days. What I like about this full moon is that Mars is trining Neptune and Venus. So if you do have an argument with someone, if health-wise you're not feeling great, listen to your body, listen to your intuition, and ask for help and start off a conversation. Let's say you need to take a few days off. Don't power through, I don't know, like a cold or something like that. My recommendation would be ask for help from your colleagues or ask for support and help from a significant other. They're going to be able to step in some shape or form and ease your burden, my dear Taurians. This is also not a great day when it comes to traveling and transportation. If you need to get to work, there could be some sort of like incident on the road. That's possible. You could also notice that something isn't actually working properly when it comes to your car or when it comes to your bike or to your preferred mode of transportation. Again, whatever is going on, my recommendation would be to not allow emotions to take over, but rather to just like make a phone call, call someone immediately, someone that can like jump in and help you. Taurians, because there's probably going to be quite a few people, be it a friend, be it a partner, there's going to be people around who can make things happen for you. Also 17th of October until the 11th of November, Venus transits your 8th house. Now, this is not financial advice. You are completely responsible for your financial decisions. This period, however, is generally a very supportive period when it comes to investments. You might see your investments going up. It could be a good time to like look at whether it's I don't know, like the moment to cash in, to like take in some of your wins. This is also really supportive time, if we can call it this way. It's a very supportive period when it comes to your intimate sector, when it comes to your sex life. I mean, the 8th house is the house of intimacy. It might also feel easier to just kind of like address in conjunction with someone else, potentially more kind of like challenging topics. So to talk about things like money, for example, or to work on things like, I don't know, like better communication when it comes to difficult topics, let's say. You might also attract gifts throughout this period. You might feel also inclined to offer gifts to others and to help others work through potentially some of their crises or challenges, let's say. 22nd of October, the sun goes into your house of relationships. For the next month, it emphasizes your relationship sector. But beforehand, also on the 22nd of October, it's going to square Pluto before it goes into Scorpio. So this is where you might need to tread very, very carefully when it comes to the interaction that you have with someone in the workspace, maybe someone from a foreign background, from like a different background compared to yours. Be careful not to, I don't know, like earn an enemy because you have, without necessarily intending or realizing it, you have, I don't know, like insulted someone or insulted their culture or insulted their belief system. There's also a possibility that someone might challenge your own beliefs around this time. They might point out to you, my dear Taurians, how your existing worldview and life philosophy and belief system is not actually supportive of your health, wellness, and well-being, and it's not actually supportive of the goals that you have within the workspace. You might not like it, but they might have a point. 28th of October, also active day before, day after, Venus squares Saturn. I mean, this could be a challenging day in terms of a friendship. It could feel like someone doesn't really get you. It could feel potentially a little bit sad not to be able to like spend as much time as you would like to with a friend. Someone could feel cold and distant. A friend could feel cold and distant. Interestingly, however, you might feel like you've got some sort of like duty or obligation or responsibility towards a friend. Even if you're not necessarily excited about it, you're like, okay, I love them. Or they've done things for me in the past as well. You might have some sort of work that you need to do for a community, for an organization. You might not be in the mood for it, but alas, you might need to do it anyway. However, I also like on the 20th of October, active day before, day after, the fact that Mars is going to be trining Saturn. You seem to be able to deliver tangible, quick results with a great deal of like stamina, but also focus and patience. You seem to be able to deliver really concrete results when it comes to maybe some sort of a group project, some sort of a project connected with your career, potentially some sort of a project that involves public speaking, maybe that involves organizing an event or organizing something for work or for an organization or for a community of people. Don't overthink it. Trust your gut, move fast, trust your instinct. You have a strong feel for how things need to be done. I also would not expect any sort of help on this day. If you think, you know what, maybe I'm gonna ask my colleague to help me with XYZ for this event, you're better off doing it yourselves, Taurians, on this day, and even the day before and the day after. So whatever it is that you need to get done, others are not gonna be of that much use, just so you know. And that is Taurus for October. My dear Geminis, Gemini Suns and Gemini Risings. October 2024. The month kicks off with a solar eclipse. Happening on the 2nd of October. It's going to be active also the week before and the week after. I have actually created a separate video addressing the topics of the eclipse. Nevertheless, let's talk a little bit about it, Geminis. The eclipse is a solar eclipse. Solar eclipses indicate big new beginnings, significant new beginnings. It's happening in the 5th house of fun, children, enjoyment, entertainment, passions, and hobbies for Gemini risings, especially. The fifth house is also, I apologize, it's associated with games, with playing games. Essentially, a new chapter is starting, Geminis, that involves some sort of a release, some sort of a letting go, because the eclipse is happening with a south node. So for some of you Geminis, this could bring a fresh start when it comes to your children. So for example, your child might start a new chapter that involves letting go their old routine in some shape or form. Or they might start off a new chapter of their lives that focuses very, very, very strongly on their health, wellness, and well-being. As a result of that, they might need to, I don't know, give up on something that they enjoyed doing. For example, I don't know, something that wasn't necessarily like super healthy, let's say. This eclipse can bring pregnancy. It can bring news of new children coming up, let's say, or there can be news of children in general making its way to you, my dear Geminis. It doesn't necessarily have to be your child. It doesn't necessarily have to be you or your significant other getting pregnant, but it could feel like this eclipse puts the spotlight on the topic of children. You might start working with children more, for example. This eclipse can also bring a fresh start when it comes to creative projects, especially creative projects that you are involved in within the workspace. You might kick off a new creative project at work that requires you to maybe create differently, work in a different manner, maybe work with a different team, maybe work with different people. This could also be the time when you might need to give up on something or do less of something that you love, Geminis, because you're starting off a fresh chapter at work, something that will require a lot of a focus, of energy, of attention from you. You could start working with a new client. You could start maybe like a very important new job, but at the same time you might realize that you're not gonna have the amount of time that you used to have in the past to, I don't know, like spend time with your kids or go play, I don't know, like basketball or something like that. There's also a possibility that you might introduce as part of your day-to-day routine more of what makes you happy within your day, Gemini. So let's say you really enjoy, I don't know, like painting or expressing yourselves creatively in some shape or form, Geminis, and you might decide, listen, you know what, I am going to make this a part of my routine. I'm going to make this a part of my day. I'm going to find a way to squeeze it in. It's a very good way to make use of the energy of the eclipse. Last but not least, I feel like you've got a lot of support in achieving something that is important for you, Geminis, at the time of the eclipse. Something that might be important for you when it comes to money, finances, career, and work in general. A collaboration in the workspace might make its way to you, but once again, it feels like you might need to work differently in order to make this happen, in order to actually create space for this project to materialize. 4th of October, also active day before, day after. Venus trines Saturn in your house of career. You're working very, very productively with someone in the workspace. You seem to also feel very appreciated by a boss, by a figure of authority. You seem to achieve some sort of a collaborative goal together with someone in the professional space. This might also feel like a very productive day when it comes to achieving something that is hard but important for you, Geminis. When it comes to your health, you might achieve this goal with the help of a, I don't know, like coach, health practitioner, advisor, or something along those lines. You might also feel like you've overcome a crisis or something that brought up a lot of like strong emotions in the workspace. You've overcome this with a great deal of emotional kind of like strength and what is the word that I'm looking for? Fortitude, I think, might be the word. So I like this day. 8th of October, also active day before, day after. Venus trines Mars. I gotta say, you taking the lead and taking the initiative in the workspace seems to work out really nicely for you. You might also want to reach out to someone that you work with, or it doesn't just have to be a colleague, it could be a client. You may want to reach out and say, come on, let's do this, let's make this thing happen. And together in collaboration with this person, you are indeed making things happen. It's a very good day to reach out to clients. It's a very good day to reach out to colleagues and once again to find ways to successfully align your efforts. This could also be a very productive day when it comes to achieving your goals health-wise, especially goals connected with movement, my dear Geminis. I feel like it's a great day to also spend money on the, I don't know, like on the gym, or on like gym equipment, or on equipment that has something to do with like physical movement in some shape or form. You might also be really quick to spend money on someone else. Maybe on someone else's needs, maybe on, I don't know, let's say your kid needs new tennis rackets. And you might be like, come on, let's do it. Let's go. Let's buy those tennis rackets. 9th of October, Jupiter goes retrograde in Gemini in your first house. Now, this is going to be a transit or let's say an astrological event that lasts for a few months. It's a very good period, Geminis, for the next few months to take a bit of a step back and to see how far you've come from a self-growth, a self-development perspective, how far you've come since May of this year. It's a great time to count your blessings. It's a great time to also ask yourselves, have I grown too much too quickly? It's also a great time to ask yourselves, Geminis, what are you doing long-term professionally? What is the direction in which you want to grow? What is the direction that you may want to kind of like consolidate when it comes to your professional path? 13th of October, Mercury goes into your 6th house of day-to-day work in Scorpio. I feel like you're going to be thinking a lot about your work, about your health as well. You seem to be very invested in your work and your health for the rest of the month, and you also seem to think very kind of like profoundly about these matters and really use your mind in a very kind of like investigative way to understand maybe what's been going on underneath the surface that might have been potentially, I don't know, like sabotaging your efforts in this life arena, or in these two life sectors, work and health. 14th of October is a mixed bag kind of day. It's a good day from some respects. It's a challenging day because Venus is going to be opposing Uranus on this day. So someone might, I don't know, like cancel on you at the last minute at work, or a relationship with a colleague might be all of a sudden very challenging, or someone might do something, yeah, just unexpected in the work, in the workspace, and it seems to take you really by surprise, and you're like, what do I do with this? Like, how do I handle this? You don't necessarily seem to have the answer immediately, just saying. The Sun is also squaring Mars on the same day. So there is a possibility that you may feel like you have to spend a lot of money on your kids, like you have to spend a lot of money on your passions and hobbies. You may be inclined to overspend. You might kind of like try to kind of like overcompensate through putting money behind an issue, but sometimes more, or acting faster, or like more impulsively is not the answer. What I like about this day, however, is that the Sun is trining Jupiter. So you seem to feel like your confidence is growing, it's expanding. You are feeling increasingly more enthusiastic about your qualities, your skills, about the path, the direction in which you're growing in. You seem to be feeling really enthusiastic and motivated to grow and to take a leap of faith when it comes to your professional path. You seem to feel quite lucky when it comes to your career, and sometimes that's all we need, my dear Geminis, in order to make things happen in a big way, to kind of like get the universe's support when it comes to stepping outside of our comfort zones, let's say. It can be actually a really fun day from some regards. You might have fun with your kids, you might have fun with a romantic partner. It could be a romantic day as well, but especially when it comes to kind of like mental and intellectual connection. So it is a good day for a date. But as I said, it's a mixed bag kind of day. 16th of October, also active day before day after, Venus trines Neptune. This is actually a very romantic day, but it almost feels like you can maximize its romantic potential by performing some sort of an act of service towards someone that you love or towards someone that is important to you in some shape or form. So, for lack of a better expression, I'd say that service is sexy at this time. You might not even need to do anything concretely, my dear Geminis. You might just need to be there for someone who you love, who is maybe going through a little bit of a harder time emotionally, and you being there, like holding their hand, seems to do the trick. It seems to help them tremendously, and they're probably going to be very grateful and very appreciative. Speaking of appreciative, someone is very appreciative towards you, Geminis, probably in the workspace around this time. It could be a boss, it could be a client, it could be a colleague, it could be all of the aforementioned. Also, your imagination is on fire in a great way in the workspace. So if you need to come up with creative solutions, if you need to come up with some sort of a, I don't know, like a design solution or something like that, 16th of October. It's the day when inspiration strikes. Now, we're coming up to my least favorite day of the month, which is the full moon on the 17th of October, active 3 days before, 3 days after. It's a full moon in Aries. It's in conjunction with Chiron. It's in a tense aspect to Mars. What do I believe about this full moon? It might bring arguments. Not just for you, Geminis, for a lot of people, actually. You might be triggered, or someone else might be triggered. You might be triggered by a friend, or you might inadvertently trigger a friend. They might overreact. They might, I don't know, blow up. It might feel like someone's got a very short fuse around this time. There could be some sort of a public argument that you have with a friend. Let's say you are, I don't know, like at a party or at a gathering, and you have this very like open kind of like conflict with someone. It could be because you have hit a sensitive spot for this person. So triggered is the word. I believe that there's a higher chance that someone else is being triggered by you rather than the other way around. There's also a possibility that you might feel like you've had enough of a friend or of a group of people or of a community that you're a part of, and you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave. I am going to exit the building. I feel like you could, metaphorically speaking, break up with an organization or a community or a group of people. If you're going out around the 17th of October, let's say you're just going to a party, or let's say you're catching up with like work colleagues for like drinks, be very careful because people are very likely to get angry around this time. Now, I don't necessarily see this as a dangerous thing, but I do see it as a potentially uncomfortable thing. So trust your gut, trust your instinct, trust your intuition. And if your intuition is telling you, maybe I shouldn't go out today, then just don't. But if you do find yourselves, Geminis, involved in a conflict, I would also remember that sometimes people react very strongly and in this sort of like spicy manner, for lack of a better word, because they are hurt, because they are sad, because they are grieving maybe, because they're going through hard times. Paradoxically, I feel like if you do have a conflict with someone around this time, it could potentially even end up bringing the two of you closer together if you see beyond the overreaction, if you see beyond the strong words, I'd say. 17th of October also until the 11th of November, Venus transits Sagittarius in your 7th house of relationships. Now, I like this time. It's a great time because it might feel like other people are much more likely to please you, be accommodating, be diplomatic, do things that make you happy. Whatever it is that you need help with when it comes to interactions with others, you're probably going to get help from others. The only exception might be the 28th of October, potentially also the day before when Venus squares Saturn. But in general, this is a great time for interactions with others, for collaborations, for partnerships. If you need to team up with anyone, this period is, as I said, a great period to reach out to them. It's also a very good time from a romantic perspective, because let's not forget that Venus rules your 5th house of romance. So if you've been meaning to, I don't know, do some nice things for your partner, if you've been meaning to potentially find a partner, let's say you're single and you're like, Rux, when is it going to happen for me? Well, definitely I recommend dating when Venus is transiting your house of relationships, especially for Gemini risings. So 17th of October until the 11th of November, again, with the only exception probably being the 28th of October. Now, since we started talking about the 28th of October, also kind of like the energy is active day before and day after, Venus squares Saturn. A relationship with a boss or someone in a position of authority, or potentially even a parent, especially the mother, might not necessarily go as planned. You might just not be on the same page. You might even kind of like try to work together, but for whatever reason, I don't know, like you bail on them or they bail, or they kind of like let you down, they're unreliable. It feels like there could be a lot of confusion around how to make a collaboration work, because we've got this like mutable square in the sky. It could also feel like maybe someone has like really high expectations of you, and you feel this sort of like strong emotional pressure from their side. At the same time, it could also be that you feel distant in some shape or form from someone that you have a lot of appreciation for. So let's say, I don't know, your partner needs to work late and you thought that you would spend the night together, and alas, you have to come to terms with the fact that they're not going to spend the evening with you because they've got work to do. So that's just one example. Going back a little bit in time, 22nd of October, the sun goes into Scorpio. It's going to emphasize for the next month your health and your work. You've got a lot of work to do, Geminis, and you're also going to be very busy, potentially dealing with matters connected with your health. Now, doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with your health, but you might just be extra focused on that. Also on the 22nd of October, before the sun goes into Scorpio, it's going to square Pluto. There could be something that comes to the surface on the same day around maybe a child. Maybe a child has been hiding something from you, or around a romantic interest. You might hear that they've been keeping something from you. Now, going back to the end of the month, 20th of October is not just a day when Venus squares Saturn, it's also a time when Mars trines Saturn. And this trine is going to be active, this harmonious aspect is going to be active also the day before and the day after. So pretty much 27th, 28th, 29th of October. Mars trining Saturn is saying, oh, I apologize, I lost my pen. Mars trining Saturn is saying, work hard to achieve your career goals. Work by yourselves, Geminis. You're gonna make things happen. You're gonna have the energy, the stamina to make things happen. Don't rely on the help of others, because others are not really gonna be very useful around this time. You can do it yourselves. Also, if you want to take action to, I don't know, like ask for a raise or something along those lines, this is the time to do it. You can come up with the facts. You can come up with kind of like the drive that is going to make you very convincing when it comes to discussing with the boss. So go, 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 go. Cancerians, Cancer suns and Cancer risings. October 2024. What is going on in the sky for you, my lovely Cancerians? Well, a lot is actually going on in your house of home, family life, living situation, and the sector of children, love, entertainment. So let me start off with the very beginning. 2nd of October, active week before, week after, we've got a solar eclipse in your house of home, family life, and living situation. I have filmed a separate video for this, but we're going to talk about the eclipse once again. However, I still recommend listening to the eclipse update just because it's a little bit more in depth, I'd say. So, fresh start, new beginning when it comes to your home and living situation. Some of you could move, some of you could welcome someone into the home, some of you could say goodbye to someone who's been living with you. Let's say you're going to become an empty nester, your kid is going to college or to university, they're moving, it feels bittersweet, it feels like a loss, but also a new beginning at the same time. You might actually be quite happy for them, even though it does seem to leave a little bit of an empty space. Speaking of empty spaces, it's a great time to empty things from your home, my dear Cancerians, that you no longer like. It's a great time to donate things, to clear out the garage, to clear out the closets, and to say, listen, time for fresh energy. Fresh energy in the home is the theme of this eclipse. There is a possibility that you could be, as I said, maybe also saying goodbye to a family member just because they're going to be someplace else. They're no longer going to be living with you, or something along those lines. If you are looking to maybe sell a home, I do believe that this eclipse could give you a nudge in that direction. I feel like also relationships with a family member, potentially a parent or a child, could be going through a reset. You might feel like you're much closer to them somehow, but at the same time, it could also feel like you need to leave behind an old way of interacting with this person, Cancerians. And there is a possibility that some Cancerians might hear news of pregnancy or kind of like changes happening with children within the family. It doesn't necessarily have to be your kids. It could be, I don't know, your nieces and nephews, for example. 4th of October, Venus trines Saturn. I feel like you are very kind of like inspired and motivated to achieve something of a creative nature. So you can kind of like put a lot of like focus into creating something beautiful, into maybe focusing on some sort of a creative project. You could be working in collaboration with someone on this creative project. You also seem to be building some sort of a connection, maybe some sort of a relationship. It could be a business relationship with someone who is maybe based abroad, or someone who belongs to a different culture, I'd say. This could also be a really good time to organize a trip. It's a great time to also travel, I'd say, 4th of October, maybe day before and day after. But if you're thinking, you know what, I'm going to organize a trip, I need to, I don't know, like go abroad, I need to catch up with people for work, plan, buy tickets, all of the aforementioned. Especially if you're not doing this alone. I feel like you may have other people kind of involved in this. Another good time to travel is actually the 16th of October. Maybe also the day before, when Venus trines Neptune in the 9th house of foreign lands and foreign countries. 4th of October, 8th of October, and 16th of October are some really romantic days as well. So if you want to organize something, if you want to take advantage of it, if you want to organize a date, if you want to organize, I don't know, like a nice trip together with your significant other, if you want to surprise your significant other with a nice trip, or with like time outside of the house, maybe you can go to, I don't know, like the theater, or to like a play, or to the ballet, or whatever it is that you're into from an artistic perspective. 4th of October, 8th of October, and 16th of October, take advantage of these days, and the day before. Potentially to an extent also the day after, but especially the day before, when the aspect is kind of like building up, when the energy is building up. 8th of October, Venus trines Mars. If you want to take action to reach out to someone that you want to collaborate with, someone that you want to work with, someone that you feel inspired by, or someone that you have like feelings towards, do it. That is what I say. Cancerians, around the 8th of October. You might also feel really kind of like emotionally close to someone, and it could feel like really hot, as in like sexy, I'd say. Venus and Mars are the well, they're the lovers of astrology, of the zodiac. So yeah, intimacy is very, very strongly supported by this by this aspect. 9th of October, Jupiter goes retrograde in your 12th house for the next few months. This could be a really good time to take a bit of a step back and ask yourselves, Cancerians, what have you learned about your blind spots since May? What have you learned about maybe how you can release whatever is no longer serving you? What have you learned about what works and what doesn't work for you from a work perspective and potentially from a health perspective? It's a great time to reflect on that and to continue to maybe integrate that within your day-to-day life. 13th of October, Mercury goes into Scorpio in your 5th house. I mean, your mind is going to be very focused on children, love, creativity, fun, entertainment, quite a bit, and you might even talk about these things quite a lot. Mercury transiting the 5th house is also a really good time when it comes to maybe writing creatively or creating things that involve, I don't know, like words, kind of like verbalizing maybe, creative concepts. So if you need to work on some sort of a, I don't know, like a PowerPoint presentation, like a deck, and you feel like, oh, I need to wait for inspiration to strike before I make this happen. This is it. It's happening. Mercury is like, come on, I'm going to give you the right words. 14th of October, I like the fact that the Sun trines Jupiter. You seem to feel increasingly confident about how your kind of like private life is growing and evolving and developing, and you seem to feel actually really excited about maybe taking a little bit of a leap of faith in this direction, maybe making a big change, maybe making a significant change, potentially in terms of how things are working in the home space, maybe potentially about making a big move that you are for now keeping, I don't know, like private, keeping hidden. At the same time, the Sun squares Mars on this day. Interaction with someone in the home space might get you all worked up. You might get a little bit angry because you're very emotionally invested in something, and this other person, it could be a parent, it could be, I don't know, it could be a child, it could be a partner. This person seems to want to keep their distance somehow, I'd say, or they are trying to kind of like to take a very kind of like balanced and objective approach to a matter that you feel very strongly about, and you're like, no, I feel so strongly about this, and it could be a little bit triggering. Also on the 14th of October, Venus opposes Uranus. There could be some sort of sudden development in connection with a friend. Maybe a friend cancels on you at the last minute, or maybe you hear something disruptive has happened in their life. It could be some sort of a crisis. So you might need to kind of like change some plans that you had in connection with your friendship sector, Cancerians. As I said, 16th of October, I like it. Very romantic day. A romantic bubble is the theme of this day. You might also feel very emotionally connected to some sort of a higher power. And you might really connect with that sense of unconditional love coming from divinity or from a higher power. I love this. My least favorite event of the month, Cancerians, is coming up on the 17th of October, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after. We've got a full moon filled with conflict. Conflict is the theme. Someone might get you really, really, really angry. There could be fights. There could be fights at work. There could be arguments in the workspace. There could be arguments with a boss. There could be arguments potentially also with a parent. There could be something that's going on in your career sector that gets you really fired up and really frustrated and really irritated at the same time, and you might feel like you need to take action. Action is a key theme at the time of this full moon. However, my recommendation is to be careful not to act from a place of emotional hurt, but rather to act from a place of knowing where you stand, knowing what you believe in, knowing what your values are, knowing what really makes you happy. Because your inner child could be really hurt by whatever's going on here. You could feel a little bit potentially even betrayed, I'd say, but acting on impulse might not necessarily be the way to go, I'd say. You might also feel like you need to make a decision about where you're headed professionally, and potentially make a decision fast. Because something happening in your career sector is giving you a nudge to move at speed. Now, Mars is in a trine to Neptune. I feel like intuitively you're gonna know what needs to happen, even though physically and emotionally you might not necessarily feel great. You might feel like you're being rushed into making a decision, but your intuition is going to be on your side. You might also feel like you're receiving some sort of divine guidance. Emotionally, you might feel like you're somehow shown, or on an emotional level, you might actually sense what the right path is, and it could feel like this path is being indicated to you by a higher power of some sorts. I don't normally say this, but if you feel like it, this is actually a very good time to pray. It's also a very good time to meditate, even if you can only do that for a very short amount of time, to meditate on whatever's happening, because that will pinpoint the way that's going to make you happy. Speaking of happy, you may become very aware of what makes you happy and what doesn't make you happy anymore when it comes to your career path. Now, let's leave career for a moment. Let's put it to the side. This could be a really tense time when it comes to interactions with family members, especially with parents. You might feel like you need to stand up, like you might need to defend yourselves, Cancerians, like you might need to assert your boundaries a lot clearer. You might also need to confront a parent about something that really riles you up. Once again, tune into your intuition and tune into that sense of divine guidance, because ultimately I believe, even though this is a challenging time in terms of like open conflict, the relationship with this parent can improve, I'd say. 17th of October also, Venus is going to go into Sagittarius in your 6th house until the 11th of November. You're probably going to enjoy very much your work throughout this period, as well as focusing on your health. And you're probably going to really enjoy collaborative kind of like projects in a professional setup, with the only exception being the 28th of October when Venus squares Saturn. I believe that 28th of October, possibly also the day before, could be a little bit of a challenging day when it comes to work relationships. It could feel like you're not really on the same page with someone because you have different philosophies when it comes to how a project should be delivered. You could feel challenged by someone. You could also feel like someone has very like strong defenses when it comes to maybe the solutions that you propose in the workspace. You might also experience a sense of maybe frustration and delay connected with possibly like, I don't know, like traveling around this day, and let's say you're traveling around the 20th of October, although I don't necessarily recommend it. I don't know, your plane might get delayed and you might feel a little bit frustrated because you need to sleep less and you need to like be in the office very early in the morning, and that could cause, as I said, a bit of frustration. However, the 28th of October is also a nice day from a different perspective. Mars is trining Saturn on the same day. This is a great day to get the job done, whatever the job is, by yourselves, Cancerians. You seem to have sufficient drive and focus and concentration to achieve something that is important for you when it comes to your work, your education, when it comes to any interactions that you have with, I don't know, like foreign lands and foreign countries, when it comes to your academic path. This is also the time to take the initiative to make things happen in a sector that maybe has given you a lot of like headaches in the past, because things have been moving at a snail's pace. So if you have been, I don't know, like running out of patience, and especially if you've been waiting on someone to contact you or to reach out to you, I'd say, you know what, take the bull by the horns, go do it. Full speed ahead, my lovely Cancerians. Going a little bit back in time, 22nd of October, the sun goes into Scorpio in your 5th house for the next month. So the spotlight is going to be placed on fun, enjoyment, entertainment once again, and creative self-expression and creative projects. You might also spend quite a bit of money on kids, hobbies, passions, and creative projects throughout this period. Possibly also on like partying, I'd say. 22nd of October, before the sun goes into Scorpio, it's going to square Pluto. Something might come to the surface, something that's been like buried or hidden or that you were not aware of when it comes to your relationship with someone, either a romantic partner or a parent, or it could be that something comes to the surface when it comes to both. You might not be thrilled about it, but alas, it is what it is, and at least you know what you are dealing with, Cancerians. I think it's always better to know, but that's just me. My dear Leos, Leo Suns and Leo Risings, October 2024. What's going on, Leos? So, there's actually quite a bit going on in your private life, in your home life, in your family life, in your home sector. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start off with the solar eclipse coming up on the 2nd of October. It's going to be active week before, week after. The solar eclipse in Libra is happening in your 3rd house of news, sales, neighbors, siblings, communication, education, transportation, short distance traveling. I have actually created a separate video addressing the eclipse. I recommend that you watch that as well. But alas, let's go back to it because I do have a few things that I want to share in this video as well. So this solar eclipse brings in some sort of a new beginning, some sort of a fresh start. That involves you letting go of something. So some of you might need to let go of a car, of your existing mode of transportation. Some of you might need to make different plans when it comes to your daily commute, when it comes to short distance traveling, just because something's no longer working, something's no longer functioning in the way that it used to function. So whether you need to buy a car or sell a car or just like make, I don't know, like make different arrangements, my recommendation would be to, yeah, just go ahead and do it because this doesn't seem to change anytime soon. And it almost feels like you could be making a long-term, I don't want to call it investment, but the changes that you are implementing in this space are probably going to be long-term, and they're probably going to be supportive in the long term in terms of the direction in which you are headed. Changes in relationships with siblings, cousins, neighbors, and colleagues are also very likely. There is a possibility that a sibling could be moving, or that a sibling could be going through some sort of a drastic, I don't know, like transformation in their own life. For example, you might have siblings announcing you that they're getting married or they're expecting a baby. So it doesn't have to be bad, but it could be really like a little bit of a rebirth that they're going through. So it might feel significant, pretty big. It also feels like this could be the time to potentially look at your relationships with family members in general and ask yourselves, Leos, what is no longer serving you in terms of how you communicate with them? The ways in which you used to communicate with family members, parents, siblings, significant others, they might have potentially created this sort of artificial distance between you and other people. Maybe because you tried to communicate in a way, Leos, that was not upsetting them, in a way that was geared towards preserving the harmony and the peace. But unfortunately, there is a chance that this old way of communicating, Leos, might have actually created a bit of a rift, or might have potentially contributed to other people feeling unheard by you, or feeling like it wasn't really safe to express their true feelings and emotions. Feelings and emotions are probably going to be talked about at the time of this eclipse, especially feelings and emotions that have been buried by others. I don't believe that's a bad thing. I believe that's actually a great thing. My recommendation is to listen, to take it all in, to hold space for someone else's emotions. You don't have to solve any problems. You don't have to do anything. You just have to make the other person feel heard. And ultimately, relationships are probably going to end up in a much better place than they are right now. Now, 4th of October, Venus trines Saturn. I do believe you could be working together with someone on a home-related project, or you could be helping maybe like a partner or a parent with something that's important to them in their own kind of like private life. I feel like a relationship with someone is reaching a deeper, more profound level of commitment, and also of understanding where each person is coming from, especially when it comes to each other's vulnerabilities, when it comes to respecting each other's boundaries, when it comes to respecting each other's, I don't know, like defense mechanisms, potentially. This could also be the time when you are maybe making some sort of a joint commitment with someone else to purchase something that involves I don't know, like a loan that involves debt in one way or another. I initially thought about like mortgage. You could be taking a mortgage with someone, or you could be discussing about taking a loan with someone. You could also be paying someone back, my dear Leos, or someone could pay you back around this time. It feels like you might also be supporting on the 4th of October, the 8th of October, and potentially also the 16th of October, and maybe also the days before and the days after, one day before, one day after these key dates. You might be supporting someone who you love through a hard time in their lives. Now, I don't believe you can fix this thing that the other person is going through. Maybe your partner is going through, I don't know, like a loss of some sorts. I don't believe you can fix it for them. I don't believe you can impact things in a tangible way. But what you can do to help Leos is be there for them emotionally, and they're going to be very grateful. They're going to remember it, and it's probably going to contribute to the long-term fulfillment within this relationship. They could be going through something that is pretty sad. I am just gonna put it out there. It is a possibility, and they are, I repeat, going to need all the emotional support that you can give. 8th of October, Venus trines Mars. Now, this is actually quite a romantic day. 8th of October and also the 16th of October. They can also be quite romantic days. You might want to get away from the world with your partner, or you might want to, I don't know, like cuddle at home and watch movies and potentially have sex. It's possible, especially on the 8th of October when Venus trines Mars. I mean, Mars is also associated with physical passion. And kind of like physical desire, and Venus is associated with love in general. It is Venus in Scorpio. Venus in Scorpio, more than other Venus placements, might really enjoy a very kind of like strong, like intimate merger with someone else. I mean, that's why sex comes to mind. 8th of October, Venus trining Mars is also making me think that you could kind of like achieve something together with someone else behind the scenes, potentially connected with your home and living situation, family life, domestic life, but maybe also potentially connected with a matter that has to do with foreign lands and foreign countries. You might support someone on a matter that has to do with foreign lands, foreign countries, traveling, or maybe even their education. And it's also a very good day, the 8th of October, to get rid of stuff. Get rid of whatever you no longer want to have in your home, because energetically you're like past these things. With the risk of repeating myself, because I have said this in the past, I don't believe enough people realize how important it is, if you want to make room for fresh energy, if you want to make room for a life that really resonates with the person that you're becoming. I cannot stress enough the importance of making space and clearing things out of your life. For example, donating old, I don't know, like objects, clothes that you no longer use. Literally kind of clearing out the garage, clearing out your space, no longer hoarding things. It's very, very important to create a vacuum in your life so that new things, new energy, new objects, new people can come into your life. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to replace objects. But essentially nature abhors a vacuum. So it's going to rush to like fill that vacuum up with, as I said, fresh energy that resonates much more strongly with the person who you've evolved into, Leos. So don't be afraid to clear out the garage. I've said that in the past. 9th of October, Jupiter. Jupiter is going to go retrograde in your 11th house over the next few months. I think it's a good idea to take a bit of a step back and to ask yourselves, what long-term goals and plans do I want to keep investing in? Who do I want to have by my side? Who do I need to talk to? Who do I need to connect with? And how do I maybe need to strengthen these connections that are going to help me achieve my long-term goals? 13th of October, Mercury goes into Scorpio in your 4th house of home and family and living situations. You're probably going to think a lot about your home life, talk a lot about it, talk to family members about potentially maybe any expenses or kind of like financial matters connected with like home and domestic life for the rest of October. You might, as I said, focus on those topics in terms of conversation. 14th of October, the Sun trines Jupiter. This is actually a really nice day to make a sale, make a purchase, potentially hold some sort of a speech or like a public presentation, speak in public, present something in public, attend some sort of an event that connects you with people who are like-minded, who believe in the same things that you believe in, who are working towards the same goals that you're working towards. It's a great day for networking, for connections, and also a great day to strengthen friendships, I'd say. However, on the same day, the Sun squares Mars. If you are buying or selling anything mechanical or anything that works with like heat, I'm thinking of either like a car or like a tool or something, I would double check to make sure that everything is working properly, or I would double check to make sure that you have, I don't know, some sort of like warranty from the seller, because something might be a little bit off, especially if we're talking here about tools or like objects that use heat, or objects that use, I don't know, like sharp, I don't know, components. I'm thinking of like knives or like things of that nature. Also, on the 14th of October, Venus opposes Uranus. The relationship with a parent or a boss is kind of like taking you a little bit by surprise. You're like, oh, wow, I did not expect this conversation. You could feel like they're being very unreasonable, I'd say. There could also be sudden news making their way to you connected with the boss or with someone in a position of authority and power. 16th of October, as I said, it's a romantic day. I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's also a day of enhanced creativity and imagination, especially when it comes to potentially, I don't know, like decorating the home or working on a project that you're like, I don't know, like nurturing behind the scenes in your private life, in your home life. 17th of October is a full moon in Aries, probably my least favorite day of the month. I'm gonna say it, Leos. 17th of October, active 3 days before, 3 days after. This full moon activates your axis of studies, traveling, and I am just gonna say it. Something might shake things up. Something might come up that disrupts your plans when it comes to education, when it comes to potentially traveling, maybe also when it comes to your connection with foreign lands and foreign countries. If you're working with someone from abroad in any shape or form, you could have a fight, you could have an argument with someone that is based abroad. You could also have an argument in general over matters connected with politics and beliefs and maybe religion as well. I mean, I know many times they say if you want to keep the peace, stay away from conversations around like politics or religion or things of this nature. But you might get really worked up around this time and feel like you really have to defend what you believe in. If you go ballistic, which you might, there is a possibility that you might get really angry. Keep in mind that there is a chance that you might damage the relationship with this person for good. So if you still need to work with them in the future, it could feel difficult, okay? So choose your battles carefully. And remember, all truths are but half truths, okay? Travel plans could get disrupted. Even like short distance traveling could experience disruptions. So I don't know, like a car could break down in the middle of the road and you might not be able to reach in time your like work meeting. I would see it as a blessing in disguise because Mars is actually trining Neptune. There could be something that that's kind of like very disruptive happening that pushes you off course when it comes to your, I don't know, like road trip, let's say. But it could be actually protecting you from something greater. If you ask me, embrace whatever's coming your way and see it as possibly a blessing in disguise. If you can stay at home and not fight with anyone, I think that would be ideal. If you are married, then I would potentially stay away from conversations with in-laws around this time. In-laws could also be in the spotlight at the time of this full moon. They could be going through some sort of a challenge. I apologize. I'm trying to like say 1,000 words a minute. In-laws could go through some sort of a challenge. They could experience, I don't know, like an incident or some sort of like inflammation. You may be able to step in and help. You might need to act fast and listen to your gut and to your intuition, I'd say. If you are waiting for results when it comes to exams, they might not exactly be what you hoped, but alas, sometimes those things happen. 17th of October until the 11th of November, Venus transits your 5th house. I like this. I like it. Why? I like this transit because it essentially makes fun, enjoyable, entertaining activities even more fun, enjoyable, and entertaining, my dear Leos. It's a great time to go out, have fun, go to parties, plan parties, talk about fun events, organize fun events together with someone else. You might even enjoy the work that you do throughout this period very, very much. And you do seem to be kind of like overflowing with creative ideas when it comes to your professional projects. Relationships with loved ones and kids are likely to go very well throughout this period. You may actually be able to improve relationships with children, loved ones, and possibly even bosses throughout this period, with the only exception throughout this period being the 28th of October, when Venus squares Saturn. A relationship with a loved one, it could be a child, it could be a romantic interest, might not necessarily go exactly as expected. You could feel distant, you could feel some sort of like cold shoulder from them. They might take a little bit of like distance from you. They could be struggling with something. They could be dealing with something that is just not something that they want to share or that they want to talk to you about. And you might feel a little bit, I don't know, like disappointed as a result, but that doesn't mean that it's going to negatively impact the relationship in the long term. 28th of October, when Venus is squaring Saturn, and also in the day before and the day after, you're also going to feel the energy of Mars trining Saturn. So I like this trine. Why? Because it feels like you can achieve a lot of work behind the scenes by yourselves, Leos. If you feel like something's wrong in the life of a partner, and you kind of like intuitively sense, okay, maybe this is it. Maybe this is what they're going through. Maybe this is what upsets them. And if your intuition is telling you to take some sort of action to help them, I would possibly trust that instinct. I would trust that inner guidance that you're getting. If you're also getting the I don't know, intuitive nudge to take your foot off the pedal and to just let this person be, and then if you want to do something fun, just go ahead and do it yourselves, Leos, without putting pressure on someone else. I think that could also work. That could also work out. You might also be quick on this day, 28th of October, to potentially, maybe when it comes to money and especially investments, to maybe cash in or kind of like take some wins. This is not financial advice. You're completely responsible for your financial decisions. You might also want to help someone with money around this time, or you might feel like you have the possibility to help them with money. Going a little bit back in time, 22nd of October, the sun enters Scorpio. So it's going to put the spotlight on your home life, family life, and private life for the next month. You're going to be very invested in this aspect of your life, Leos. And also on the 22nd of October, before it goes into Scorpio, it's going to square Pluto. You might become aware of something that's been going on behind the scenes at work. Some sort of secret might come to the surface and you're like, oh God, what do I do with this? This is kind of like a little bit unexpected. And it might require you to kind of like transform your approach when it comes to something that you've been working on in the professional space. That is Leo. Now let us move on to my dear Virgos, Virgo suns and Virgo risings. Virgos, October starts off with an eclipse. 2nd of October, active week before, week after. I know I've done a separate video on the eclipse, but alas, we're going to talk about it again. This solar eclipse brings in some sort of a fresh start when it comes to your finances, income, budget. I'm also going to say relationships and collaborations that have some sort of a financial side or component to them. So I'm going to give you an example. You have a relationship, you're in a partnership with your accountant, for instance. I I love to give accountants as examples. I don't know why. It's probably because I feel like they're quite important. So fresh start when it comes to your income. A new source of income might come in. An old source of income might exit your life, Virgos. You might revisit your budget in general. It is a good time to look at your budget and to get rid of unnecessary expenses. There is also a possibility that you might get rid of expenses that no longer align with your values. Your value system is going through a shift, Virgos. Whatever used to be important for you, especially Virgo risings, may no longer be important for you moving forward. You might also approach the topic of money differently moving forward from now on. When it comes to the conversations that you have around how much you're getting paid. So let's say in the past, you've only asked for, I don't know, a little bit of money for your services. Let's say you are doing some sort of freelance work and you haven't been charging enough. Well, from the 2nd of October onwards, and you might even do this in the week before, you might decide, you know what? No, I need to charge the correct amount because I have expenses and because I deserve it. So you also seem to be going through a little bit of a reset, a little bit of a rebirth when it comes to how you value and appreciate what you bring to the table, Virgos. I think it's about time. I think it's high time you did this. It's a great time to have conversations about money. It's a great time to share with people, listen, I'm going to charge more moving forward. You're probably going to get a really positive response. If you need to tell anyone that you're no longer working with them because the collaboration, the partnership, the relationship is no longer supportive of your financial goals, it's a great time to talk about it. I'd say no hard feelings, open up. And if there's anyone who's been making you feel unappreciated or undervalued, and it doesn't have to be in your professional life, it could be in your personal life, now is the time to open up about your feelings, Virgos. Now, you might also be surprised to find that someone might knock at your door and say, hey, I don't think you are giving me the time of day, or I don't think you value me sufficiently. And that's okay. I feel like even though it's a very emotional eclipse, a relationship could benefit from these types of very open, very kind of like heartfelt, authentic conversations, even if they are a little bit, a tiny little bit difficult. 4th of October, Venus is trining Saturn. This is a great day to sign a contract, to purchase something from someone, to find maybe a buyer if you're selling anything. A relationship is being strengthened. Your commitment towards someone is becoming stronger. Someone's commitment towards you is also becoming stronger. It's a great day to agree on a plan with someone else and to kind of like organize things together with someone else. Maybe you're like, I don't know, like creating a spreadsheet for all your expenses together with your partner. That's a possibility. It's not mandatory, but it's a possibility. Productive conversations around finances are a key theme on the 4th of October. Also productive conversations around joint goals that you have together with someone else are the theme of this day, 4th of October, maybe also the day before and the day after. 8th of October, Venus trines Mars. I mean, this is a great day to go out, to have fun with your friends, maybe to organize something for your friends, to organize something maybe for a community of people, for a group of people. Now, don't feel like you have to pay for everyone. Just ask them for the money. I am just gonna say it. It's also a great time to maybe talk to your friends or to people who can help you achieve your long-term goals around this time, my dear Virgos. Just do it from like a place of openness, of kind of like sharing what you've been dealing with, what you've been struggling with, because you're probably going to get a really positive response, and you might even be very pleasantly surprised to see friends or your community kind of like jumping in and helping you achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. This is a romantic day, the 8th of October. So the 8th of October and the 16th are probably the most romantic days of the month. 8th of October, it's a great day to do something romantic that involves maybe, I don't know, like going out, going to a concert, doing a group type of thing together with someone else. 16th of October, it's great when it comes to kind of like escaping from the world together with a significant other, or maybe just being super romantic or doing something very imaginative together with a significant other. 16th of October, you seem to really feel unconditionally supported by someone, and it's also a good time when you can support someone that you love unconditionally. So it absolutely goes both ways. 8th of October and the 16th are probably two of my favorite days this month. 9th of October, Jupiter goes retrograde in your house of career. Virgos, especially Virgo risings, since May of this year, it may have felt like your professional path has kind of like opened up somehow. Maybe you've taken into account new possibilities, new perspectives, new activities. Maybe you've thought about like studying something new. Maybe you've learned a lot since May. It's time to kind of like integrate everything that you've learned, everything that you've opened up to over the next few months whilst Jupiter is retrograde. Your professional growth could also experience a period of slowing down a little bit, because we can't just keep on inflating because we're gonna pop, right? So it's the time to kind of like integrate the expansion and to find ways to contribute to this somehow kind of like settling into your life, and to also be very discerning about what you want to carry on and like developing, and what feels like maybe it's no longer a good idea to invest mental energy into, my dear Virgos. 13th of October, Mercury, your chart ruler, goes into Scorpio. For the rest of the month, it does feel like you're going to have a way with words. You're going to find the right words at the right time. You're very invested in like communicating, writing, reaching out to others. It's a great time for networking the rest of the month. It could also feel like your mind is really kind of like sharp and deep and investigative, and finds information that is kind of like somehow kind of like hidden or buried, or that is not very, very obvious. So this sort of like very incisive mind, the mind of a detective, seems to get activated within you, my dear Virgos. 14th of October, it's a bit of a mixed bag. The Sun trines Jupiter. There could be some really good news coming up around this time, my dear Virgos. Also maybe the day before, the day after, when it comes to your career and your financial situation. So maybe you get good news when it comes to your raise being approved. Maybe a new client comes in and says, let's work together. You seem to feel very appreciated and confident in the professional space. You seem to feel very valued by those who you're working with. And it really feels like things are kind of like evolving in a really nice, positive way for you from a professional perspective, and also from a material perspective. The Sun, however, is squaring Mars. You might be inclined to overspend, especially if you go out, especially if you catch up with friends. You might be quick to spend. You might be impulsive when it comes to spending. So I would just like slow down a little bit. Venus is opposing Uranus on this day, however. A plan with someone might get canceled, or something might pop up at the very last minute, something sudden, something unexpected. Maybe you agreed with someone to meet somewhere, and all of a sudden they tell you, listen, I can't make it because my train is canceled. Speaking of trains getting canceled, the cancellation of plans because of transportation issues is possible around the 14th of October. I am just going to say it. 16th of October, as I said, one of my favorite days. 17th of October, not so much. 17th of October, maybe also in the few days before, the few days after, 3 days before, 3 days after Virgos. There's a full moon in Aries, activating your financial axis and squaring Mars. Now, I feel like you might have some significant expenses to deal with. You might also realize that you've rushed into something and now it's costing you materially. It's costing you more than you thought it would cost you financially. You might feel very annoyed and angry with the fact that you have to pay more for something than you thought you'd have to pay. A heated conversation around money is the theme around this time. I want to say potentially also a conflict around money can be the theme around this time. You could possibly, I don't know, like fight with your partner, or fight with your boss, or fight with a client, or just like have an argument around money at this point in time. There could be an argument with like friends around money at this point in time. Be very careful not to react from a place of wounded inner child. You might be triggered, the other person might be triggered. It can all kind of like blow up, when actually this can be very easily solved by having a very honest, open conversation. So let's say you get invited to something and you can't make it because you've got other financial priorities. Just say that. The truth is the antidote to any potential, I don't know, like escalation around this time. There's also a possibility someone might let you know that they can no longer help you financially around this time. Now, you might get worked up, you might get frustrated, you might get angry, they might get angry, but this actually seems to be a necessary step in order for the relationship between the two of you to evolve and to kind of like to go to the next level and to reach a stronger level of emotional connection and depth. And essentially for both people, both you and the other person, to feel like you're carrying your own weight within the relationship, I'd say. This is definitely not a good time, Virgos. I'm just going to put it out there. You're completely responsible for how you handle your finances, but it's not a great time to take action when it comes to investments. It's not a great time to be impulsive when it comes to investments, when it comes to stocks. It's not a great time to like impulsively like buy or sell or anything like that. So I would just kind of like slow down. That is just me. 17th of October until the 11th of November, something else is going on. Venus enters your 4th house in Sagittarius. I like this because it feels like your home becomes your sanctuary. It feels like relationships with family members are going through like a really good time. There's a sense of improvement, of it very kind of like easy like connection, of getting along very well. You might feel inspired to, I don't know, like host people in your own home, potentially even like travel to meet with family or like have family kind of like travel over to see you if you're living far from them. It's a very good time to also beautify the home, maybe to spend a little bit of money on making your space more beautiful. So you could direct some of your income towards your home, towards your living situation. A relationship with a family member or a partner is going through a little bit of a hiccup around the 28th of October, however, possibly also the day before. Venus squares Saturn. You might not agree on something connected with home life and family life. You might not agree on that type of topic with a partner or maybe with someone that you work with. And let me give you an example, because you might be thinking, what are you talking about, Rux? Let's say you want to work from home on the 20th of October and your colleague is saying, no, but I thought you'd come into the office because we have to work on this thing together and I was relying on you. And you're like, no, I want to work from home. I have family coming over. And there could be a little bit of a bump in the road, let's say. There's also a possibility that if you are in a relationship, you could be really, I don't know, like enjoying your time at home and maybe wanting to like share this with your significant other and like do some nice things together at home. And your partner is maybe quite stressed because they're focusing on work. Maybe they're very busy. Maybe they don't necessarily seem to appreciate the changes that you're making at home, especially if you're redecorating. So there could be a little bit of potentially disappointment. Very temporary around the 28th of October. Another thing is also happening on the 28th of October. Mars is trining Saturn. So this is a great time to take action, to take the initiative when it comes to something that is important to you, goals-wise, objectives-wise. To take the initiative, and if you need your partner to get on board, or if you need someone else to work with you, if you need your like spouse, or if you need someone else to work with you in order to make this happen, I'm just going to put it out there, Virgos. You are probably better off taking the lead and just kind of like giving a nudge to this person rather than waiting for someone else, be it your spouse, be it another person, to reach out to you and to say, okay, come on, let's work on this thing together. No, taking action and taking the lead in a relationship is probably going to work out really nicely in your favor, my dear Virgos. Also, if something, I repeat, is very important to you, if you intuitively feel like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna, I don't know, book those tickets to this concert, and maybe my partner right now is not in the mood for it, but maybe they are gonna be in the next few days, yeah, just take a little bit of a risk, I'd say. You can also help a partner or a colleague or a coworker with a goal that is important to them. I feel like you can do this by bringing this sort of like fresh, enthusiastic, risk-oriented approach to this matter that has kept them stuck maybe for quite some time. You also seem to encourage someone to maybe take a chance and to do something new and to take action. You could be encouraging a friend, you could be encouraging, I don't know, like a colleague or your spouse, and they're probably going to be grateful to you about that. If I take a little bit of a step back in time, 22nd of October, for the next month, the Sun transits Scorpio in your 3rd house. So a lot of focus and emphasis and pretty much the spotlight is going to be placed on conversations, communication, writing, speaking, education, but also short distance traveling. Also on the 22nd of October, just before the Sun goes into Scorpio, it will square Pluto. A hidden expense connected with children or with something fun or pleasurable might come to the surface. Maybe you need to fight against it. Maybe you need to, I don't know, call your credit card company and say, I did not sign up for this. But I would, yeah, just keep your eyes on your on your bank account around the 22nd of October, my dear Virgos. My dear Libras, Libra Suns and Libra Risings, October 2024. What can you expect? What does it have in store for you, lovely Libras? Well. The month starts with an eclipse in your own sign. So you are going to be the stars of the eclipse. You're going to be in the spotlight. The eclipse is happening on the 2nd of October, but it is active also the week before and the week after. It is an eclipse happening with a south node. So that tells us that you are starting a fresh chapter, Libras, by leaving behind something that is no longer aligned with your life path, with your destiny, with the direction in which you're headed. What could you be leaving behind? Well, you could be leaving behind an old job. You could be leaving behind an old sense of self, an old identity, an old way of presenting yourselves in the world. You could also be releasing something that you thought was a big part of the way that you're meant to like show up in the world. I feel like your value system is changing, Libras. It's going through a significant rebirth, and as a result, you might no longer feel the need to please everyone, be accommodating, be the diplomat, be the peacemaker. I feel like you're basically giving up on the role of the peacemaker or the diplomat or potentially even the consultant in some shape or form in one sector of your lives, my dear Libras. Also, you might have been trying to preserve the balance and the equilibrium in your life for too long, and as a result, you might have been neglecting some of the things that you've been feeling. Maybe about a job, maybe about a relationship, maybe about a boss, maybe about a partner. No more. This is a very watery eclipse, Libras. Even though it's happening in Libra, which is an air sign, Venus, the ruler of the eclipse, is going to be in Scorpio. It's trining Saturn, it's trining Mars in Cancer. Saturn's going to be in Pisces. So we have a grand trine in water in the sky. Emotions are overflowing, feelings are coming to the surface, and they can no longer be held back. And I don't even recommend holding them back. I think it's a great time to address issues that have been impacting you emotionally and to make some of the changes that need to happen rather than just kind of like preserve, as I said, the peace or the balance. Make the changes, because otherwise, what is the alternative? The alternative is that you might not feel like yourselves anymore. You might feel like you're potentially living a little bit of a lie, I'd say. You also seem to be very focused on your financial life, on your financial sector, and you may decide to approach this very differently with a different attitude, maybe be a little bit more incisive, more aggressive, more determined. See what happens. See what happens, Libras. You might also need to give up on something that is not supporting your health at the time of this eclipse. You might realize, okay, maybe I like to eat sweets. I'm basically giving myself as an example here, Libras, even though my ascendant is not Libra at all. So let's say you enjoy doing something, but you realize it's not great for your health. So you might actually give up on it at the time of this eclipse. 4th of October, active also maybe the day before and the day after, Venus trines Saturn. You seem to be working really well in collaboration with someone in the workspace. You could be helping a client, you could be helping maybe a colleague. A colleague could feel really grateful to you. You seem to work on something that is really hard and that is maybe also quite demanding from an emotional perspective together with someone else, but the good news is that you're doing that successfully. This is also a very good time, the 4th of October, to invest in your long-term goals from a health standpoint, and maybe even to make a purchase, to buy something, or maybe to pay for the services of a coach, of a health practitioner, or something along those lines. 8th of October, active also the day before and the day after, Venus trines Mars. I feel like someone might reach out to you in the professional space, and you might feel very valued and appreciated because they see you as the perfect individual to maybe get involved in some sort of a high visibility project. It also feels like you're very aligned with a partner. It could be a life partner, it could be a business partner. You're very aligned in terms of some sort of a really kind of like visible topic. So maybe you're aligned with your partner in terms of how you want to, I don't know, like share with the world the fact that you're planning to get married or something along those lines. Successful collaboration with someone with a lot of like power and clout in the professional space is also very, very likely. I feel like it's someone higher up than you. It's someone with more power, with more influence, and you seem to be working very well with them and they value you, they appreciate you. You also seem to feel very maybe excited to support a partner with their professional goals. Intuitively, you seem to be able to bring in exactly the type of like energy that they need in order to be courageous enough to take action. Venus together with Scorpio, Venus and Scorpio together with Mars generally is very indicative of things going really well in a romantic relationship that involves a lot of like physical kind of like chemistry and passion. So even though this trine activates your part of your houses of substance, so the house of income and the house of career, I feel like this could also work quite well in your favor, Libras. From a romantic perspective, let me share how I see this playing out, or an example, essentially. Let's say you're going out with your significant other in the world, you're attending some sort of a public event, and you are showing up, you're dressing up in a manner that, I don't know, like garners a lot of like attention, and for some reason your significant other seems to somehow kind of like value you more for this. Now, I realize this is a very simplistic example. I'm just gonna put it out there, but it almost feels like someone wants you more because of the way that you show up in the world. That's the way that I would describe this. It's also possible that you might just have like some really good chemistry, even if you're not romantically involved with them. You might have really good chemistry with someone that you work with, both on the 8th of October as well as on the 16th of October, maybe also the day before and the day after. Speaking of the 16th of October, it's also a very romantic day with Venus trining Neptune. It feels like you can be romantic by being of service to someone or by inviting service from someone in your life. So if you, I don't know, if you like someone and you're thinking, how can I get their attention and I'm just going to get them to help me with something, that's one way to go about it. Venus trining Neptune on the 16th of October is also very supportive of you using your tastes and your style and your aesthetic and your imagination in the workspace, and that working out very, very, very well, I'd say. You might also offer some sort of unconditional support and help to a colleague, a coworker, or a client, and it does seem to reflect very, very, very well on you. Even if you're not doing it with that reason in mind, even if you're not, I don't know, doing this in order to feel important or to feel good about yourselves, Libras, ultimately you might end up feeling good about yourselves, which I believe is always a plus. I'm also liking, I really have to flag this, the 4th of October, the 8th of October, and the 16th of October when it comes to anything that you want to happen in the financial space, if you want to have an important conversation, if you want to, I don't know, like sign a new contract, if you want to attract a new client, these are all very, 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 very good days. 4th of October, 8th of October, and the 16th of October. And if you do, let's say, I don't know, start working with someone new, or if you start off a new job, or if you accept more responsibility in the workspace, it's probably going to reflect very nicely in your paycheck. If it's not yet reflected in your paycheck, my recommendation would be to speak up about that, because it probably will if you do. 9th of October, for the next few months, actually until the end of the year, Jupiter goes retrograde in your 9th house. So it's a good idea to reflect on how your life philosophy and worldviews and belief system has changed, how it has evolved since May of this year, my dear Libras. 13th of October, Mercury goes into Scorpio in your 2nd house. I keep on saying the word money. You're gonna really think a lot about money. Money's gonna be on your mind quite a bit for the rest of the month, with Mercury, planet of the intellect, transiting your house of income. You might also be thinking about maybe some sort of like hidden aspects connected with your financial situation, maybe aspects that you haven't yet taken into account, that you haven't dug into sufficiently. 14th of October, the Sun trines Jupiter. Okay, you are literally shining. You might receive some sort of like recognition, acknowledgement, applause. As I said, you are shining somehow, metaphorically speaking, in a public setup, maybe in a setup that involves higher education, studies, that involves you sharing your knowledge, maybe guiding others, maybe kind of like sharing your experience with others, maybe mentoring others. You also seem to shine and to stand out for the way that you see the world, for your kind of like worldview and life philosophy. And you might be doing this, you might be sharing your worldview and your life philosophy and your experience in a group type of setup. It's actually a really good day to do that, to hold some sort of like public speech, or to have some sort of I don't know, like public appearance, let's call it. However, on the same day, the Sun squares Mars. Someone might be a little bit jealous. Because you are in the spotlight, you're in the limelight. It could be a boss, it could be a partner, it could be a professional, I don't know, a collaborator, and they might be a tiny little bit mean to you as a result. I mean, that's not reason to like stop basking in your glory, but remember, sometimes people do say mean things or act in a petty way because they feel envy. It's a thing. 14th of October, also Venus opposes Uranus. You might deal with an unexpected expense. Check your bank account, check your wallet, check your credit cards, make sure that you have been charged properly. You might also decide to disconnect from someone who is bringing a lot of crisis in your life, and take a bit of a step back and no longer allow them in your space and energy. 17th of October. Active 3 days before, 3 days after. We've got a little bit of a challenging full moon. I'm just gonna say it. It's a full moon that activates your 7th house. It's in a tense aspect to Mars. There could be some sort of an open fight, an open conflict with someone that you work with. It could be an open conflict with a boss. It could also be a very open, visible conflict with a partner or with your mom. The thing is, it's visible. It's out in the open for everyone to see, and you might feel a little bit stressed by that, without necessarily intending to. You might trigger someone, you might trigger your partner, you might trigger a boss, you might trigger your mom. Like, these are the few people that come to mind immediately. You might also trigger an adversary. You might trigger the competition. Now, maybe you don't mind that. And that's okay. Maybe you're doing it on purpose. Maybe because you want to, I don't know, stage some sort of a, I don't know, some sort of a public set of circumstances in which everyone sees this person for who they are. Could it escalate Yes, that's very, very possible. If your intention was to put this person in a bad light, you are probably succeeding. I'm just going to put it out there. Now, if you have some sort of a conflict with your spouse or your significant other and you don't want things to escalate, you're like, you know what, this is all fun and games, but let's calm down. My recommendation would be to remember that when people react very, very strongly, very aggressively, it's because they are reacting from a place of hurt and pain and vulnerability and insecurity. So I would maybe approach them with that in mind and maybe hold space for their feelings and their emotions, because they're probably going to have big feelings, big emotions, and anger is probably through the roof. And paradoxically, if you do kind of like empathize with them and if you like show some compassion for them, which you are probably going to be able to, the relationship can be a lot better. Crisis in relationships also with romantic partners are very possible. A partner might get angry, but again, the same recommendation that I've made previously stands. Your partner might just feel very wounded. They might need someone to empathize with them. They might need someone to like be there for them, to express whatever it is that they need to express, whatever they've been like bottling up. And as a result, they're probably going to thank you and the relationship is going to be more profound. 17th of October until the 11th of November, Venus transits Sagittarius in your third house. I like this because you seem to be in a very kind of like adventurous mood. Remember, Venus is your chart ruler. You seem to be very kind of like keen to like explore new things, to try out new things, to have fun, maybe to travel, to talk to new people. 17th of October until the 11th of November is a great time to network, to improve relationships with colleagues, with neighbors, with siblings, with cousins. It's a great time to also maybe make purchases and sales, potentially to buy a car, but I would avoid the 28th of October when Venus squares Saturn in that regards. Venus transiting your third house is also likely to make very enjoyable and pleasant any activities that involve speaking, communicating, or writing. So if you need to write your thesis, for example, take advantage of this transit, my dear Libras. 22nd of October, Sun enters your second house in Scorpio. So the spotlight is going to be placed on your financial situation for the next month. However, before that, so literally on the same day, but you might also feel it on the 21st of October, actually, the Sun will square Pluto. You might uncover something that's been buried or hidden in connection with your past, in connection with a parent, in connection with a family member, or something might just come to your attention that's a little bit disturbing, that needs to be changed within the home space. So maybe you realize that, I don't know, there's like mold in the closet. It could be something along those lines. 28th of October, Venus squares Saturn. Communication with someone at work is probably going to be quite difficult, quite challenging. The other person is not open to your ideas. Give them time. However, on the same day, Mars trines Saturn. I feel like you can do a lot of successful work by yourselves on this day, my dear Libras, in the professional space. If you need to talk to a boss, if you need them to, I don't know, like root for you, defend you, take action that somehow benefits you, Libras, this is actually a good day to remind them of that, or to maybe get them to like fight in your corner. I would also say that this is a day in which you're better off, how should I put it? Rather than trying to like reason with someone in the workspace, you're better off just like following whatever leadership has decided and just like rolling with that. It's also a day in which you might feel like you have accomplished some really significant things from a health perspective. You might feel like you've made a lot of progress, especially with your mental health, and especially with kind of like, I'm gonna say, a little bit controlling your emotions, because maybe in the past your emotional life might have left kind of like a bit of a negative, might have made a bit of a negative impact on your health, wellness, and well-being. Let's put it this way, Libras. So I'm just going to give you an example. Let's say you've self-medicated in the past. You've used, I don't know, escapist routes to self-medicate because of stress. I mean, obviously, that's kind of like your emotions dictating things, right? On the 20th of October, you might feel like, and also the day before and the day after, you might feel like you've made a lot of progress in terms of controlling that. So I like it. Scorpios. Scorpio suns and Scorpio risings. October 2024. What's going on? Well, the month is kicking off in a very intense fashion, my dear say Scorpios, with an eclipse. It is an eclipse happening on the 2nd of October, active week before, week after, in your 12th house. So there could be some sort of a fresh start happening behind the scenes for you. Maybe it's not visible for everyone to see. Maybe it's not visible from the outside. Maybe it's not even something that you like share with everyone. Maybe you just kind of like do something behind the scenes, or you decide to take some sort of action behind the scenes. Maybe action to remove something, to release something, to let go of something, to clear something out of your life. It could be something connected with your health. It could be something connected with your image in the world. It could be something connected with your lifetime action. It could also be something connected with the way that you approach relationships. I'm just gonna say it. You might decide to give up on people pleasing, or on being just like accommodating for the sake of maintaining the peace in relationships. This solar eclipse also puts the spotlight on your mental health, and you might realize, okay, I need to give up on this, and that in order to benefit from a mental health perspective. So releasing certain maybe emotional attachments to people, maybe releasing toxic relationships from your life is the way to go. You may feel ready to do that at the time of this eclipse, Scorpio. I am just going to say it. This eclipse also puts the spotlight on the need for you to maybe rest more, sleep more, relax more. And I believe that you are going to prioritize that moving forward. Intuitively, instinctively, you might feel like, okay, this is it. I'm ready. I will do this. A lot of self-love seems to be another theme at the time of this eclipse, Scorpios, for you. And I feel like because you connect with that sense of self-love and self-appreciation, you're going to be emotionally strong enough to give up on some of the things that might have been in disharmony with that feeling of like self-love and self-appreciation. You might also give up on self-defeating tendencies, or on acts of self-sabotage at the time of this eclipse, Scorpios. I like it. I like it. 4th of October, maybe also active the day before. Venus is trining Saturn. I feel like you could work very successfully towards achieving something possibly connected with a creative project, maybe also connected with the home. So if you are, I don't know, like remodeling the home, for example, you could feel like you're making a lot of progress on this day. It also feels like the relationship with a loved one is going through a process of like deeper kind of like a bonding. It's somehow becoming like stronger. It is a day of like strong commitment towards someone else, and you might feel very happy to also kind of like do your duty and do what is expected of you in the relationship with someone that you love. Now, when I say someone that you love, it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic partner. It could be a parent. It could be your child. You might feel like things are stabilizing in the relationship that you have with a person that you love. As I said, it could be a child. It could be generally a family member. 8th of October, also active the day before and the day after. Venus is trining Mars. Successful action connected with traveling, foreign lands, foreign countries, maybe connected with any sort of initiatives that you have on the academic side of things. Some sort of win, some sort of success connected with legal matters is also a possibility. You might also feel like things are advancing really nicely in the direction of your goals when it comes to maybe a legal matter, an academic matter, or a matter that is connected with foreign lands and foreign countries. You could feel very driven, motivated, and inspired by someone who you look up to. Maybe you see them as a guru, a spiritual teacher. Maybe you see them as a guide of some sorts. 8th of October and the 16th of October can also be some really romantic days. 8th of October can be very physical. 16th of October, it can also be very physical. So in terms of like physical connection with someone, but the 16th of October also feels like you're somehow giving and receiving unconditional love around this time. You seem to feel very like unconditionally accepted and loved by someone, and it could be something that you reciprocate. The 16th of October is particularly romantic in a sense that you may feel like you want to escape the world together with a significant other. The 4th of October, the 8th of October, and the 16th of October are also very, very good days for dating, but especially dating someone who you trust, maybe someone that you know, someone that maybe you've known for some time, and it feels like the connection can go a little bit deeper. Now, of course, you can date someone that maybe you haven't met before, and it could feel like it's I don't want to say a match made in heaven, but it could feel like it's very easy to find a sense of intimacy, to feel very comfortable and to feel somehow very bonded with this person. 4th of October, 8th of October, and the 16th of October are also very good days when it comes to any creative projects. On the 16th, anything that requires the use of imagination, maybe of music, of photography, that requires you to step into this sort of like ethereal, out of this world setup. All of these types of things go very, very well. You're also attracting a lot of positive things, I dare say, Scorpios. On the 4th, the 8th, and the 16th of October, you could be attracting compliments. You could be attracting, I don't know, attention. The good type, I believe. The type that makes you feel like valued and appreciated. Gifts, support, the right people to help you with whatever it is that you need help with. That's what you seem to be attracting on the 4th, the 8th, and the 16th of October. So we have to remember that water is of the negative polarity. It's kind of like yin in terms of energy. It's not yang, it's not outwards oriented, it's inwards oriented, and it receives. It's this sort of like receptive energy. So again, when I said that you might attract things or people towards you, that is what I'm referring to if I were to kind of like expand upon it. 9th of October. Pretty much for the rest of the year, Jupiter is retrograde, my dear Scorpios, in your 8th house. So if you've been, let's say, investing, if you've been expanding your portfolio, by the way, this is not financial advice. You are completely responsible of what you do with your finances. If you've been expanding your portfolio since May of this year, it may feel like your growth on the investment side of things is kind of like slowing down a little bit. It's a time to consolidate. Expansion is probably going to go through a period of stagnation or slowing down, let's say. From the 9th of October onwards, for the rest of this year, it's also a good idea to maybe reflect on how your attitude towards money has changed, how it has evolved, and potentially to look at how all the things that you've learned about like money, investments, how they can be implemented, I'd say. So a little bit of like slowing down with the accumulation of information and more kind of like focusing on how this can be better integrated, I would say is a big theme throughout this period. 13th of October, Mercury goes into Scorpio in your first house. For the rest of the month, you're probably going to feel really eloquent. I think that's the word. You're probably going to feel like you have a way with words, like you can find the right words at the right time, like it's a lot easier to communicate what is important to you, to verbalize things, to express things, to speak publicly. Mercury loves to be in someone's first house, especially like in this case, it's going to be for like Scorpio risings. So if you need to, I don't know, like speak in public, if you need to write things, if you need to analyze things, if you need to communicate about things, if you need to write your thesis or something like that, take advantage of this transit, my dear Scorpios. 14th of October, the Sun trines Jupiter. I feel like you are very excited and enthusiastic about letting go of something. Maybe you're letting go of a debt. Maybe you're letting go of something that generated crisis in your life in the past. Maybe you're letting go of anxiety. Maybe you're letting go of someone who was generating anxiety in your life. At the same time, the Sun squares Mars on the 14th of October. There's a possibility that you may feel, I don't know, like you want to stand up and like fight or like defend someone or like something that you believe in, but is it worth it? I don't know, like choose your battles. Maybe it's not a great use of your energy. Venus also opposes Uranus on this day. You might release, I repeat, it's a big theme. You might release a partner, you might release a partnership, you might release a collaboration. It doesn't have to be romantic. It could be a business collaboration, or you could release, I don't know, your therapist. You could say, I've done the work. I'm doing great. Thank you. Time to move on. There's also a possibility, however, that someone who you see as an advisor, as a consultant, might have some sort of like sudden unexpected news for you, and you might need to like think on your feet and act fast in order to find a solution if, for example, they change the plans that you had made. 17th of October, not my favorite day. Full moon in Aries, activating. Well, it's active 3 days before and 3 days after, I have to say that, and it's activating your axis of work and health. It is an intense aspect to Mars. So there could be changes happening at a legal level, new legislation, for example, that has an impact on the way that you do your job. And you might need to change really quickly the way that you work, the way that you do your job, the way that you are of service to others, because otherwise there is a chance that you might be, I don't know, like, not adhering to the law. You might be doing things wrong from a legal perspective. The relationship, the collaboration relationship with someone who is based abroad or with someone who comes from a different cultural background may implode. I'm gonna say it. It's a very argumentative full moon. It's a very frustrating full moon somehow. It feels like conflict and arguments can be a key theme. You might have a fight. You might have a fight with a colleague, with a coworker, with someone that you work with because of different, I don't know, like worldviews. You might not agree on some sort of a political, religious, spiritual matter, and it feels like it can blow up. My recommendation is to choose your battle very, 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 very carefully. If you end up continuing to work with this person, I mean, it might become really awkward moving forward. You might also decide that you have had enough, Scorpios, and some of you could leave a job. Now, I do believe that anger and frustration that both of these are valid enough reasons for you to give up on something that is, I don't know, like making you sick somehow. So if you're like constantly under like a lot of stress in the workspace and you're like, you know what, I've had enough, I'm done with this. Good for you. At the same time, my recommendation would be to not act out of a place of impulsivity if this might, how should I say, if this might be something that you regret later. If you say, you know what, maybe I should not have burned that bridge, even if you do hand in your resignation, maybe there is like a better way to do this. So that is just my recommendation. Of course, if you feel like burning the bridge, burn the bridge. Like, I don't need to tell Scorpios anything about that. Scorpio is a master at like burning things down and reinventing themselves and kind of like experiencing this sort of like process of alchemy and transformation throughout their lives. Health is another matter that I recommend paying close attention to. There might be some sort of inflammation in the body that you need to address very, very quickly. It could have something to do with your, I mean, it could be connected with like the head or the stomach, digestive issues, potentially. I feel like you might just need to like take it easy, slow down, and if you do need to take some time off, take some time off. If you do need to postpone, I don't know, like a work trip because you're not feeling good, postpone it. It does feel like you're gonna receive support and help from others at this time, so don't be afraid to ask for it. Don't be afraid to say, listen, I can't do my work because you're not feeling great. Health-wise, This full moon could also be putting the spotlight on some of the things that you need to continue to kind of like change when it comes to your daily habits and routines. Because if you carry on in the same, I don't know, like vein or in the same manner, and if you continue to put this much stress on you, your health might suffer. Relaxation is probably going to go a very, 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 very long way if you have the ability to do that around the time of this full moon. 17th of October also, Venus enters your second house of income until the 11th of November. You may feel like you attract very, like with tremendous ease, either financial support or financial opportunities, or maybe even more money. It's a great time to ask for a raise. It's a great time to put up your prices. It's also a good time to like spend on beautiful things, maybe to spend on possibly traveling, education, maybe also to like purchase something nice for a significant other, to kind of like treat others to nice things, to nice gifts. Financial, or let's put it this way, partnerships that have a financial side to them are very nicely aspected when Venus is transiting the second house. The only exception being the 20th of October when Venus squares Saturn. Now on the 20th of October, I also recommend curbing your spending, not overspending on your kids, not overspending on pleasure, not overspending on the home. Because there is a possibility that you might overspend and you might end up not liking what you've bought. Or if, let's say you bought a gift for someone, they might not have the reaction that you want them to have. So if you buy something for your kid, they could be like, whatever. And you might be a little bit disappointed, just as an FYI. 22nd of October, the sun comes into your first house for the next month. It energizes you, but it also puts the spotlight on you. You are probably going to feel a lot more kind of like center stage than usual. You might feel like you are, yeah, in the spotlight, essentially, especially from a professional perspective. You might feel like all eyes are on you, so you might need to be kind of like a little bit extra like self-aware. 20th of October, Venus is squaring Saturn, but also on the same day, Mars is trining Saturn. So take action when it comes to your long-term goals connected with education, but maybe also connected with traveling, foreign lands, foreign countries, maybe also connected with home life and family life and living situation. And I would not necessarily expect others to like give you the green light or to support you in whatever action you're taking around this time. If you want to do something, just do it, and others are going to be kind of like accommodating afterwards. If you kind of like stop and ask them, what do you think about this? Should we buy this thing? I would just go ahead and do it. Also, working by yourselves on something that is important to you, that is very close to your heart, Scorpios, is very nicely aspected. It's also a great day, the 20th of October, and maybe also the day before and the day after. It's a great time, let's say, to make plans connected with traveling, maybe to organize some sort of trip, but also maybe to organize some sort of fun event, maybe a party for, I don't know, like a parent, a birthday party, or for your kid to like start making a plan around their birthday. But it feels like you're gonna have to do this by yourselves, and you're gonna do a great job at it, Scorpios. So I'm liking the 20th of October. My dear Sagittarius, Sagittarius suns and Sagittarius risings, October of 2024. What does it look like for you? Well, Sagittarians, the month kicks off with an eclipse, a solar eclipse. It's happening on the 2nd of October. It's going to be active also in the week before and the week after. And for you, it activates your 11th house of long-term goals and plans, of friendship, of community. The 11th house is also associated with the organizations that we are a part of. So this eclipse, what is it likely to bring up for you, Sagittarians? Well, a new beginning, because it is a solar eclipse. But this new beginning seems to involve some sort of a release. It seems to involve some sort of a letting go. So what could go on in your life around this time? You may let go of potentially your affiliation with an organization or with a community of people. You might actually be less active within a group of people, within a community. There's also a possibility that you might exit a group of friends potentially, or maybe exit is a very maybe it sounds very dramatic. Maybe it sounds like, oh my God, I'm never talking to these people again. No, but you might reach the conclusion that you no longer want to spend as much time as you used to spend with these people. There is a possibility that there could be some friends exiting your life. I'm going to give you an example. Again, it doesn't have to be for like bad reasons. For instance, let's say you have a very good friend who is relocating to a different country, and it feels a little bit bittersweet because on the one hand, you might be happy for your friend. On the other hand, Sagittarius, you might be grieving a little bit, the fact that this feels like an ending of some sorts. It's a very interesting eclipse, this one, because it does bring a fresh start that involves some sort of a letting go, because it's happening with the South Node. There's also a possibility that you might reset your goals and plans for the future. You might give up on some of them. Maybe some goals that you have worked really hard towards, but now you realize, okay, I did it, or I gave it my best, I gave it my all, or I gave it as much as was feasible for me to give to this goal, to this objective, and now it is time for me to release, relax, let go, and focus on building something else. I do believe you may start building something behind the scenes, Sagittarians. You could start building maybe with someone very close to you, potentially with a family member, maybe with a sibling, maybe with a cousin, maybe with a combination of all of these people. It feels like this is also a time when you may forgive someone, I believe. You may feel somehow healed. You might forgive a friend, or they might forgive you if you have wronged them in any shape or form. There is a possibility that a friendship could go through a reset after maybe having like a one-to-one, like a heart-to-heart, as they say. I do believe that this is an eclipse in which it is advisable to bring any sort of feelings towards someone, especially towards friends, any sort of buried feelings that you had, to bring them to the surface so that the relationship can go through a process of regeneration. There is a possibility that a friend could open up about some of the feelings that they had about you and that they potentially did not reveal. Is there a possibility that some of these feelings could be a little bit, I don't know, challenging for you to digest? Maybe they're going to open up about feeling, I don't know, like jealous or envious. That's just one example. Yes, there is a possibility. At the same time, this can be a very, 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 very healing eclipse. So use it wisely, Sagittarians. 4th of October, also potentially active in the day before and the day after. Venus will trine Saturn. It looks like a relationship with someone really close to you, a family member, potentially, maybe a parent, maybe also someone who works for you or with you. So a relationship with this person or with this type of person is likely to go through a process of being strengthened. It feels like this is a good day to make commitments also towards someone that you have very strong feelings towards. Again, it might be towards family members. It's also a very good day to help a family member or to receive help from a family member. And it's also a really nice day if you want to just kind of like relax and take some time to catch your breath after a lot of hard work. It's a good time to spend maybe this day, the 4th of October, and the day before and the day after, with family members in the bosom of your home. I like these days for these particular purposes. 8th of October, also active the day before and the day after, Venus trines Mars. Now, this is a very sexy aspect, just as an FYI. Venus and Mars are the lovers of the zodiac, and Venus in Scorpio loves intimacy. It loves to kind of like merge with another person. Mars is also really sexy. It's the ruler of passion in astrology. So the 8th of October can be very, very romantic, as in really intense from a chemistry perspective. It also feels like a day in which you can work really quickly with the help of someone towards achieving some sort of a common goal, some sort of a common, I don't know, like joint aim, let's say, because Venus is also the ruler of your 6th house of day-to-day work. If you need help from someone with a work-related matter, with a health-related matter, or with any matter connected with your goals and plans for the future, let's say, do not hesitate to ask for it. Do not hesitate to open up about it. This also seems to be a really good day in which you can help a child, for those of you who have children, overcome some sort of a crisis in their life. You might even hear them, I don't know, like open up to you about something that feels like a big deal to them, that feels like some sort of a secret, let's say. It's also a very good day to look very closely, 8th of October, and maybe the day before and the day after, to look very closely at your investments and to make an educated decision as to whether you're going to sell some of your stocks, for example, or not. Please remember that this is not financial advice. You're completely responsible for your financial decisions. Now, since we started talking about romantic days, there is another very, very romantic day apart from the 8th of October, and the other romantic day of October is going to be the 16th. Also active the day before and the day after. Venus trines Neptune. This is an aspect of generous, unconditional love without boundaries. Neptune dissolves all boundaries. It dissolves all separation. Neptune loves to kind of like escape reality. So this is a very good day, the 16th of October, to potentially escape from the, I don't know, the mundane aspects of life together with a romantic partner, or to just, I don't know, like cuddle up in your own home and get cozy and once again, get away from the world. This is also a day for forgiveness, the 16th of October. If anyone hurt you, maybe a family member, maybe a coworker, maybe a friend, maybe a romantic partner, you may find it in you to, yes, to forgive them, basically, Sagittarius. The 16th of October, along with the, let's see, with the 4th of October are also very, very good days for resting, but also if you need to get rid of anything from the home, if you need to donate anything from the home, if you need to, I don't know, like clear things out of the house, these are some good days to do that as well. It depends what your goals are this month, Sagittarius. Now let me go a little bit back in time. 13th of October, Mercury goes into Scorpio in your 12th house. Mercury is the ruler of your 7th house of relationships, my dear Sagittarius, and the ruler of your house of career. It may feel like for the rest of October, you could be having conversations both with your significant other, so I'm thinking of a romantic partner, but also maybe with business partners, and also potentially with bosses or people in positions of authority. You might be having conversations about things that have been so far maybe buried, hidden, maybe things that have been happening behind the scenes. You may actually sometimes be a little bit surprised to hear people, maybe your partner, maybe your boss, maybe your, I don't know, accountant, for example. You sometimes might be a little bit surprised to hear these types of people bring to your attention matters that you are not aware of, because let's not forget the 12th house is also associated with what we can't see. It is the house of hidden enemies, so whatever we can't see, obviously sometimes there is the potential for this to hurt us. So do not shy away from difficult conversations. Difficult but necessary conversations are probably going to be very, very, very important from the 13th of October for the rest of the month, Sagittarius. 14th of October, it's a mixed bag kind of day. I like it because the sun trines Jupiter in your house of relationships, so it feels like you are really kind of like excited and enthusiastic about collaborating with someone. You've got big plans for the future. If you're in a relationship, then together with your partner, you could be dreaming big. You could be talking about these like big things that you want to do together. It feels like there's a lot of like enthusiasm and a lot of joy at doing this. It's also a very good day to speak in public, to maybe hold a speech, to make a big presentation to a group of people, to a community of people. It's also a great day to both discuss as well as make plans and potentially even physically travel, my dear Sagittarians. Let's see. It also feels like things are looking better in terms of your relationship with a family member. So maybe it feels like you've found a way to kind of like overcome some sort of a challenging, some sort of a rough patch. The 14th of October is also a very good day for socialization, to go out into the world. You might meet like really interesting people. You might be really inspired. However, on the same day, 14th of October, the Sun squares Mars in the 8th house. So you might feel like you have to, basically, if anything frustrates you or annoys you, or if you are triggered by a friend, or if you're triggered by someone in a group type of setup, let's say you are attending a party, you might feel like you have to put a sock on it and not open up about whatever gets you a little bit angry, just because you don't want to, I don't know, like ruin the fun and the harmony and the good vibes. Also, 14th of October, Venus opposes Uranus. Someone in the workspace could cancel on you. Maybe you had scheduled a meeting with a coworker. You might need to potentially reschedule a health-related appointment. There could be something kind of like popping up from a health perspective that you need to address straight away. I do believe that you're going to have all the resources to address this, but alas, it could come in out of nowhere. 17th of October, potentially the most challenging time of the month. Active 3 days before, 3 days after, we've got a full moon in Aries. Now, this full moon is squared by Mars. If you have kids, then there is a possibility that a child could experience some sort of an incident. Maybe I would recommend that they be really careful when it comes to playing games, when it comes to, I don't know, like playing football, when it comes to being physically active, because there is a high chance, there is a high possibility of potential injury. Now, if you don't have kids, then there is a high possibility, Sagittarians, that you might get angry with someone, especially someone that you love. It could be a romantic partner, it could be a friend, it could be both of these people. You seem to feel, once again, the word that I'm looking for is triggered. It feels like a sense of woundedness is being activated at the time of this full moon. If something triggers you, or if someone triggers you, I would look a little bit deeper. I would look at your past, I would look at your kind of like family legacy, I would look at who hurt you in such a way, maybe potentially growing up, who made you feel unloved or unspecial, and why does it hurt so bad when someone random, I don't know, in a group type of setup, makes you feel disregarded, let's say. The good news about this full moon is that it can motivate us to heal something from our past. It can motivate us to heal something that has caused a lot of emotional suffering potentially growing up. Now, 17th of October also, Venus transits Sagittarius until the 11th of November. You're going to love this period, obviously, Sagittarians. When Venus transits your sign, you're going to feel loved, appreciated, charming, attractive. You might feel like you attract more love towards you. You might feel really good about yourselves. You might feel really valued, Sagittarians. It's a good time. It's a good period to invest in your looks and your appearance and how you show up in the world. Potentially also in your health, if you ask me. You might feel like you attract a lot of work-related opportunities, especially if you work for yourselves, Sagittarians, and generally you seem to do very well when you work with others throughout this period. The only exception could be the 28th of October when Venus squares Saturn. You might be feeling like really excited to work on something, but it feels like duty calls at home. 22nd of October, the Sun goes into your 12th house, so it kind of like puts the spotlight on what you don't see, what you've been repressing, what you've been hiding from, what's been going on behind the scenes, but also on your mental health for the next month, Sagittarius. 20th of October, as I said, Venus squares Saturn. The relationship also with a family member could experience a little bit of a rough patch, just because they might say things like, you don't understand what hurts me, or where I suffered or how I suffered in the past. However, 20th of October, also active day before, day after, Mars trines Saturn. I feel like if someone is hurt, my recommendation would be for you to take action to make things better. I feel like you can fix things at home, maybe in a relationship with a partner, or with a parent, or maybe even with your child. don't hesitate to take action to repair things. That is my recommendation, Sagittarius. However, also on the 20th of October, I don't necessarily see you, maybe also day before, day after, I don't necessarily see you working really well with others. So if you need to get anything done, especially around the house, if you need to, I don't know, like clean the house or put the house on sale or pay the bills, I would not necessarily wait for someone to help you with this because they probably won't. So my recommendation would be to get the job done yourselves, Sagittarians. My dear Capricorns, Capricorn Suns and Capricorn Risings, October of 2024, what does it have in store for you, Capricorns? Well, the month kicks off with an eclipse, a solar eclipse, 2nd of October, it's active week before, week after. I have actually released a video on the eclipse, a separate video on the eclipse, so I recommend that you listen to that as well. So this eclipse puts the spotlight on your career sector, public life, public status, public reputation. Some people might come in and say, Rux, I don't know, I'm retired, I no longer work. How does this eclipse affect me? Well, you still have a reputation, you still have an image out into the world, you still have some sort of public status, let's say. Another theme that might come up at the time of this eclipse is the theme of the mother. In traditional astrology, I repeat, in traditional, not in modern astrology, the 10th house is associated with the mother. So this eclipse brings in a fresh start, possibly in terms of your career status and reputation. There is a chance that you might potentially let go of a position so that you can focus on something else professionally, my dear Capricorns. It feels like if you want to transform your career, this is the time to do so. If you want to transform your professional path, this is the time to do so. If you want to leave an industry behind, for instance, this is it. This eclipse is giving you that nudge to go ahead and do it. If you are looking, for example, to, I don't know, retire, then this eclipse is also giving you a lot of support in that direction. There is a possibility that something really exciting might come up that requires you to once again say goodbye to something that you have built professionally so far. Now, you seem to be very invested in a new path. You seem to be very invested in what the future would look like on a new path. You also seem to be very excited potentially about working with certain people or working in partnership with someone in a new direction. There's also a chance that a boss might leave or that the company that you're working for might be bought by someone else, and there will probably be transformations at the very top of the ladder. So I'm thinking of like new leadership, for instance, or you might need to work within a different team of people, maybe with different clients. Speaking of this eclipse also putting the spotlight on the mother, this is a very significant time for potentially your mom. Maybe she's kind of like transforming her life direction in some shape or form. Maybe she's also transforming her status in the world. If she is divorced, I don't know, she might announce that she's found a partner, she's getting engaged, she's getting married. Possibly she might also leave behind an existing job. That is very much a possibility. If you've been having any sort of difficulty in relationship with your mom, Capricorns, then this is the time to patch things up. Relationships with friends, partners, and your mom, I'd say, and maybe even siblings are going very well, because I dare say you are prepared, you are ready to talk about, to share, and to maybe listen as well to maybe topics that you were not necessarily so keen on addressing in the past, Capricorns. So this is a time for very kind of like heartfelt conversations that can really have a very positive transformational impact upon your relationship side, I'd say. 4th of October, Venus trines Saturn. Also active day before, day after. I feel like you are working really well in conjunction with someone. Maybe you're having like a really good brainstorm. If you need to, I don't know, work on a presentation together with someone on a PowerPoint, then it feels like the collaboration flows very smoothly. It feels like a relationship is being strengthened, possibly with a friend or with a colleague, or maybe with a sibling or even a neighbor. If you need help with anything, then a neighbor could help or a friend could help. It also feels like this is a very good day, the 4th of October and the day before the day after, to use your intuition and your instinct and your gut when it comes to addressing someone. It's also a great day for sales and purchases, I'd say, and potentially maybe to fix your car if you've been having any sort of like car issues, or if you've been looking to buy a car. I like this day. 8th of October, active day before day after, Venus trines Mars. Okay, this is nice. This is romantic. This is sexy. This is a great day, for example, to say yes to an invitation from a romantic partner, to go to a concert, or to go have like a nice dinner. If you're not seeing anyone romantically, then it's a very good day to, I repeat, say yes to a date, or go out, or just like meet some friends, and there could be someone within that group of people that you really hit it off with. You might feel like really close to someone. You might feel like someone really gets what you're going through around this time, around the 8th of October. And you might also make someone else feel really heard. You might be able to like really empathize with them. Maybe they're going through like a tough time, a rough patch. Maybe they're a little bit angry with, I don't know, their family, their parents, and you seem to make them feel really special and heard, and to validate their feelings. 9th of October, Jupiter goes retrograde in Gemini in your 6th house of day-to-day work and health. My dear Capricorns, it feels like if you've been learning new things in the work sphere, or if you've been learning new things that can help you improve your health since May of this year, now it's time basically for the rest of 2024 to take a bit of a step back, fully kind of like integrate all the new things that you've learned, all the new things that you've opened up your mind to, and growth seems to be slowing down, or expansion, let's put it this way, not necessarily growth. Expansion seems to be slowing down a little bit when it comes to you developing your, I don't know, your knowledge further, I'd say, in the workspace. 13th of October, Mercury goes into Scorpio in your 11th house of friends and goals and plans for the future. So it looks like your mind is going to be very focused, my dear Capricorns, on where to next. What does the future hold? You might also feel like you are kind of like really enthusiastic for the rest of the month to catch up with friends, to meet with like-minded individuals. Networking is really nicely aspected throughout the rest of this month, Capricorns. 14th of October. Okay, so I like this day, but with some caveats. The Sun trines Jupiter on the 14th of October. It looks like you're achieving, or it's kind of like very visible to the outside world that you have accomplished some sort of a success in the workspace. Maybe you've signed a big client. Maybe you've accepted a big job. Maybe you're kind of like holding, I don't know, like a very public presentation. If you're not working, then this Sun trine Jupiter is really nicely supporting your success from a health perspective. So you might share with the world, listen, I've made all of these changes health-wise. I've improved my health, and now I feel like really confident to talk about this. It feels like I've grown tremendously from this perspective. However, also on the 14th of October, the Sun squares Mars. It feels like someone maybe is a little bit, I don't know, angry or frustrated with you, and especially if they're frustrated with the fact that you are kind of like keen to preserve the peace and the balance and the equilibrium in your public sphere, or in front of the world, even though this person is, as I said, maybe like mad or angry or irritated or frustrated with you. So you might kind of like feel like you have to do two things at the same time, both preserve the peace publicly and kind of like shine in your professional life and in your public life, but at the same time there is a relationship that is potentially challenging you on this day. Also, Venus opposes Uranus on this day, so if you had scheduled something maybe with a friend or with a romantic partner, or maybe even with a kid if you have kids, if you had scheduled anything, let's say you were planning to go to the movies together, something unexpected might come up and you might need to change your plans, Capricorns, just as an FYI. 16th of October, a very romantic day. Venus trines Neptune. This is really a nice day to say yes to a date. It's a really nice day to talk about your feelings, to open up about your feelings to someone else. Someone else might open up about their romantic feelings towards you. You might feel really kind of like loved and appreciated, Capricorns. It's also a really good day to go out potentially to like a, I don't know, like an event or to attend some sort of maybe even like party or event that stimulates your imagination, let's say, Capricorns. I mean, it's a great day to go to a concert, for instance, or to an art gallery. Conversations with others really seem to inspire you, I'd say. You seem to be much more keen to listen rather than to share things, but that in itself seems to be really, really enjoyable when it comes to how others perceive you. So you seem to kind of like score extra, like, I don't know, like brownie points, bonus points, whatever they're called, with the people that you're listening to. So you come across as like really empathetic, really kind, and you might actually end up benefiting from these relationships in the future, my dear Capricorns, especially from a professional perspective. 17th of October, probably the most challenging day of the month, the most challenging period of the month. 3 days before, 3 days after this 17th of October, we've got a full moon activating your 4th house, 10th house axis, squared by Mars. The full moon also is going to conjunct Chiron. So there is some sort of a crisis at home, in your family life, in your private life, in your domestic life. What kind of crisis? Well, it could be a crisis of the following natures. You might have a massive fight with someone. Anger is the name of the game. Someone might be really irritated with you. There is a very high chance that someone is really, really irritated with you around this time. You do seem to be able to like hold space for them emotionally. You do seem to be able to kind of like make them feel like their anger is valid. However, it could take you a little bit by surprise, or it could feel like a, I don't know, like a pile of bricks being thrown at you. Someone is going through a tough time. They're either like angry and irritated and frustrated, or they might feel like really, really hurt. So that could be something going on. That's going on. Something could also break in the house. And that seems to like really frustrate either a family member or a partner. Now, you seem to be able to handle this really nicely if you just go with the flow. If you also get irritated and angry, then this could escalate to unrequired or unexpected proportions, I'd say. Whoever is kind of like throwing tantrums, or whoever is going through maybe like a very hard time in your private life, in your domestic space, in your family life, Capricorns, is probably just like really, really, really hurt and they're freaking out. So that's very much a possibility. There could also be something going on when it comes to your actual living situation. You might need to fix something, repair something, or potentially consider different living situations. 17th of October until the 11th of November, Venus transits your 12th house in Sagittarius. This is actually a very good time to just relax, rest. I will say it's my recommendation to potentially even take a little bit of time off if you can throughout this period. The only exception being the 28th of October, active day before, day after, when Venus is going to square Saturn. But generally, I'd say you are probably going to feel like it's time for you to maybe like rest, relax, maybe even like travel somewhere for holiday purposes. 22nd of October, the sun enters Scorpio in your 11th house. It basically emphasizes your long-term goals and plans for the future, as well as your social life for the next month. Your social life is going to be on fire. You're probably going to receive invites. You're probably going to catch up with friends. And why not? Why not? It is time to do that. 20th of October, as I said, Venus squares Saturn. It could feel like you maybe need to keep some sort of a win for yourselves, Capricorns, because if you talk about it, someone might get, I don't know, like jealous, or someone might not really give you the validation and the support that you would like to receive. There's also a possibility that the relationship with a neighbor, a sibling, a friend, or a colleague might be experiencing a little bit of a rough patch. But also 20th of October, Mars trines Saturn. You seem to receive a lot of like quick kind of like support from potentially maybe an advisor, a collaborator, maybe even your partner when it comes to an area or a matter that you felt stuck with, or that you felt you were not necessarily making a lot of progress on your own. This is also a really good time, 20th of October, day before, day after, to potentially help someone slow down. Maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a partner, maybe it's your, I don't know, like fitness instructor. Not that it's your job to help them slow down, but it feels like they're maybe a little bit kind of like freaking out. They're on edge, they're kind of like impatient, and you can come in and say, come on, let's catch our breath. Let's do this the right way. Why are we rushing? Where are we rushing to? What are we rushing towards? You seem to be the voice of reason that brings a little bit of caution and patience, and it helps. It genuinely helps the other person. So, my dear Aquarius, Aquarius suns and Aquarius risings, October of 2024, what does it have in store for you? Well, Aquarians, it all kicks off with a solar eclipse in Libra, happening on the 2nd of October. It's going to be active week before, week after. This eclipse activates your 9th house. Changes are happening, Aquarians, that involve potentially foreign lands and foreign countries in your life. Potentially also your academic path, or if you have any sort of, I don't know, like involvement with a legal entity, a legal institution, then the eclipse puts the spotlight on this as well. So, fresh start, new beginning when it comes to maybe, let's say, your collaboration with an international company, or your collaboration with, let's say, colleagues that are based abroad. You may start working with someone, with a team that is based abroad. You may start working with a client that is based abroad. You may need to change the way that you work, potentially also because of shifts or because of something happening when it comes to the legislation that impacts your industry. It does feel like there could be new laws passed, or that there could be some sort of like announcements from the, I don't know, like legal institutions, the powers in the legal space. There could be some announcements that you're made aware of that impact your career path, your industry, your sector, your professional path. If any of this happens, Aquarius, I believe you're going to benefit from it. I feel like whatever is going on at a legal, I don't know, level, or whatever is going on that connects you with foreign lands and foreign countries, or an international, I don't know, like work environment, it seems to put you in an advantageous position professionally and financially, I would say. You might also decide to start working with, I don't know, like different stakeholders based abroad, and as a result, for example, you might end up like earning more money, or you might end up having to, I don't know, like pay less for services or something like that. So you're gonna look at any relationships, especially professional ones, that are connecting you with people based abroad. If a client leaves, or if, let's say, you take a little bit of a step back from the connection with someone who is based abroad, I've got to say this, Aquarians, it almost seems to make you better off materially, because potentially it's making room for you to dedicate yourselves, to put more effort into the clients or into the direction that is going to result in the highest success and fulfillment long-term from a material and professional perspective. New opportunities professionally can come in. I would recommend listening to your intuition, and if anyone doesn't get it, if anyone doesn't see what you see in this opportunity, then I'm just gonna say, listen to whatever your heart is guiding you to act upon. 4th of October, Venus trine Saturn. A relationship in the workspace, in the professional space is going really well. You seem to be making a commitment, or they could be making a commitment to you. You could be talking shop, you could be talking money. You seem to be reaching an agreement about money, about finances. You seem to be also very appreciated, very valued, and very kind of like well seen in the professional space for all your hard work and effort, but also for your emotional intelligence and for your ability to navigate crisis and to navigate murky kind of like waters in the professional space with a great deal of emotional intelligence. This is a great day to sign a contract. It is also a great day potentially to have an interview, maybe to interview someone else. It's also a great day to spend money on things that matter in the long term, and things that will lead to increased both material security, but also emotional security and stability. It feels like you're spending money with intention. 8th of October, active day before day after, Venus trines Mars. Things are moving really nice in the workspace. I have to say this. There's some big wins for you professionally this month, my dear Aquarius. One big win could come in around the 8th of October, day before, day after. It looks like you are both kind of like driven and motivated to get things done in the workspace. And at the same time, you're working really well with someone in a position of power or with a client, or you seem to be leading your team very, very well. And it doesn't go unnoticed, I'd say. You also seem to be making significant progress on the health space, on the health front, on the health and wellness front, and there is a chance that this might be noticed by someone in the public space as well. So maybe someone notices, I don't know, that you look much better, and when I say you look much better, I'm not necessarily referring to, I don't know, like weight or stuff like that. There is a certain glow to health, and someone might notice that. It also looks like you're making some significant progress in terms of having important conversations, if you ask me, in the professional space, but also potentially in having significant conversations with a parent or with a health practitioner, and you seem to feel really confident to take action, especially on the health front, as a result of these important conversations. 9th of October, Jupiter goes retrograde in your 5th house. It's time to slow down a little bit with the growth and expansion of your, I don't know, like knowledge and education and interests when it comes to, I don't know, like new passions and hobbies, for example, or when it comes to potentially your involvement with a significant, I don't know, like with an important group of people in your life. I feel like you might need to backtrack a little bit, or as I said, you might need to slow down, because your energy, your attention is going to be drawn someplace else. You're going to be very busy someplace else. It is a very busy month work-wise. I'm not going to lie, Aquarius. You still have Mars transiting your 6th house of day-to-day work. There's a lot going on. Things are going really well for the most part. I'm going to put it out there. As I said, you're probably going to have some big wins around the 8th of October, potentially also in the professional space around the 4th of October, around the 16th of October. So the effort and the fact that you're so driven is paying off. 13th of October, Mercury goes into your house of career. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot going on professionally this month for you Aquarians. Mercury is the ruler of the logical mind, of how we think, speak, and communicate. So for the rest of the month, there could be opportunities for you to speak in public, to speak about the topics that you're passionate about in a career space. Now, let's say you're not working at all and you're like, I don't care about this thing. Maybe you're retired. Mercury transit in your 10th house is likely to get you thinking about your reputation, about your status in the world, and potentially about your contribution to society in general, I'd say. Mercury is also the ruler of your 8th house, so you might be thinking about how you want to change your status in the world, how you want to change your image in the world, how you want to change your reputation. Maybe you no longer want to kind of like be thought of as, I don't know, the person on all these sort of like boards and committees. Maybe you want to contribute to society in a different way. 14th of October, the Sun trines Jupiter. This can be a really fun day. I'm gonna put it out there. Really fun if you're doing anything that stimulates the mind, that involves a cultural, I don't know, like element. Let's say you can go to the theater or to the museum or discuss a play with someone. It's also a really good day for a date, I'd say. It's a great day to kind of like think expansively about like where you want to travel to next, maybe make plans with someone that you love about where you're going to travel to next, let's say. It's a great day for a party as well. However, the sun also squares Mars on the same day. Be really careful not to trigger anyone with your very kind of like blunt and direct way of expressing your thoughts, my dear Aquarius. Especially if you're talking about really sensitive topics such as politics, life philosophy, religion. You don't want to get on the bad side of a work colleague because they might turn really quickly into an enemy, and you might get a much stronger reaction than you initially thought that you would from them. So I would just tread carefully. Also, if you're making plans to travel around this time, 14th of October, maybe also day before, day after, I would make sure that everything is in a good place, in a good position at work, just because anyone who you're working with is being really demanding. So if you haven't taken care of everything, then they might like, I'm gonna say act out. Also 14th of October, Venus opposes Uranus. Something could happen in your home space, in your family life, in your private or domestic life, very suddenly, very unexpectedly, that maybe takes you away from a work event, or that requires you to, like, I don't know, like leave work like really quickly. The relationship with someone in a position of power might be shaken up. You might rebel a little bit against someone in a position of power in the workspace. There's also a possibility that a relationship with a parent might be experiencing a little bit of a shakeup, Maybe you are the one who wants to, I don't know, just like rebel against this parent that you have always pleased. There is also a chance that someone in your family, maybe two family members, are experiencing a rough patch in their relationship, and maybe you're going to try to play the role of the referee. I don't think that's great on this day. Don't think that's going to work out on this day. It might work out potentially on the 16th of October, maybe day before, day after, but not on the 14th. Just saying. Now, 16th of October, Venus trines Neptune. Okay, this is nice for a variety of reasons. You seem to be overflowing with creative, artistic, imaginative ideas in the professional space. Your imagination and your kind of like creative vision is like really appreciated in the professional setup. You might also be spending some money potentially on what's going to make you look good out into the world, maybe when you attend like public events or kind of like social events of some sorts. Dream big on this day, 16th of October, day before, day after. And if you're having any important conversations with people in positions of power about money, just know that they are very likely to say yes to whatever it is that you're requesting. Also, you really seem to be quite relaxed about where your life is headed professionally and financially, and I think that's good because it's almost like you're attracting the right things, the right people, the right relationships, the right collaborations, the right circumstances towards you as a result, Aquarius. Now, 17th of October, active 3 days before, 3 days after, we've got a full moon in Aries. It's a tense full moon. It's not a happy, I mean, in the short term, it's probably going to be anything but happy. It's probably going to be a really irritating full moon. I'm just going to say it. Why? Because it's in Aries squaring Mars. So, anger is the name of the game at the time of this full moon. Someone might get angry. You might get angry with a coworker, or you might get angry with a neighbor, or they might get angry with you, or you might have a fight with a neighbor or a coworker or a sibling or a cousin. Everyone's feelings are potentially likely to escalate, and people's feelings are likely to get hurt. So be really careful and really mindful of what you say. Don't be your usual, I don't know, super direct self in your speech, my dear Aquarius, because you could inadvertently trigger some like really strong emotional reactions, and you could really touch a nerve. My recommendation is to take things easy, go with the flow. If anyone kind of like, I don't know, gets really like angry and frustrated, it feels like you playing it by ear and just kind of like going with the flow wherever the tide takes you, and maybe even just listening to them seems to have a very positive impact on whatever is going on in their life. There could be some sort of an argument at work, maybe not between you and someone else, but between people that you're working with. There's also a possibility that something's happening on the road, or something messes with your travel plans. I'm just going to put it out there. My recommendation is to drive slow, drive carefully, and if anything does happen, maybe have a little bit of a backup plan if it's keeping you from kind of like getting into work. There is a high chance of incidents on the road and incidents involving transportation around this time. Another very high chance of things unfolding at the time of this full moon is potentially you not passing an exam. I'm just gonna say it. You might need to retake it, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It might actually give you more time to absorb the information and to take things on board at a much deeper level, but alas, there's a chance that this could happen. 17th of October until the 11th of November, Venus transits Sagittarius in your 11th house. You are really going to enjoy catching up with friends, connecting with like-minded individuals. My recommendation is to say yes to social events, to events potentially that bring you together with people who are interested in the same things that you're interested in, potentially people that you can learn from, I'd say. It's also a really good period, 17th of October until the 11th of November, to make plans together with family members, plans for the future, I'd say. The only exception to that could be the 20th of October when Venus squares Saturn. Now, 20th of October, day before and day after, also active Venus squares Saturn, so you might need to decline an invitation to a social event, you might need to disappoint a friend, or you might need to set a boundary within a friendship, I'd say. Also on the 20th of October, Mars trines Saturn. It looks like you're working really hard and you're achieving something that required a lot of emotional kind of like fortitude from you in the workspace. You might also spend a significant amount of money for your health, but it seems to be money well spent, and it seems to be money that gets you out of a place of like inflammation, let's say. If you need to get something done, I would do it myself if I were in your shoes, Aquarius, especially around the 20th of October, day before, day after, because you don't necessarily seem to collaborate very well with others. Others might not necessarily understand where you're coming from, or they might not really understand your true feelings about something. So just get it done yourselves, Aquarius. 22nd of October, I know that I'm going a little bit back in time. The sun activates your 10th house of career. Scorpio season starts. The spotlight is once again going to be placed on your professional sector, and especially collaborations, partnerships, relationships, and adversaries within your professional sphere. The sun rules your 7th house, and sometimes people forget that the 7th house is not just the house of relationships, and it's also the house of open enemies and open adversaries. Maybe enemies sounds too dramatic, but you're going to become really aware throughout Scorpio season, so from the 22nd of October for the next month, of whoever is competing with you for power in the professional space, Aquarius. My dear Pisces, Pisces suns and Pisces risings, thank you for sticking around. Thank you for tuning in for your October horoscope. What's going on in October? So everything begins with an eclipse. The story of the month begins with a solar eclipse in Libra on the 2nd of October. It's going to be active also week before, week after. This solar eclipse activates your 8th house. Essentially, it's probably going to bring a fresh start, a new beginning when it comes to shared assets, shared resources, money that you have in like common with someone else, joint assets, for example, like joint bank account. It feels like something might need to function differently when it comes to joint resources. So for example, you and your significant other might decide that you're going to pay differently for, I don't know, like bills around the house. Or, for example, if you've been supporting your partner with something, Pisces, especially Pisces risings, you may let them know that it's no longer going to be happening. You might agree, for example, on a different way of functioning when it comes to money and financial support. If someone's been supporting you financially, then there is a chance that they might let you know that this is no longer going to work in the way that it has worked before. However, it doesn't seem to be a bad thing. On the contrary, I mean, you seem to feel emotionally in a really good place. You seem to feel empowered. You seem to feel really kind of like strong in terms of getting it together. You seem to have built a lot of stability in your lives, Pisces, throughout this year. And you seem to have become a lot more serious ever since Saturn entered Pisces, which is as of March of 2023. So a lot of the kind of like hard work and discipline that you've put into building yourselves up, into your self-growth and your self-development is finally paying off, and it feels like you need to finally kind of like acknowledge that you can rely less on someone else or on someone else's resources, let's say. If you've been experiencing any challenges or crises in a relationship with someone, maybe a partner, maybe even your child, maybe even a parent. If you've been experiencing a hard time in a relationship with anyone, it feels like you are releasing some fears when it comes to sharing your true feelings in front of this person. And I gotta say, the relationship actually seems to function a lot better. Now, what I'm also liking about this eclipse is that you might be letting go of some debts. Potentially, you might be paying off some loans. If anyone owes you money, there's a possibility that they might pay you off, or they might at least pay you a big kind of like lump sum of money. It is actually also a really, really good time to take stock of how much your belief system has changed and how much you no longer fear some of the things that you used to fear, or some of the things that you used to be skeptical about when it comes to interacting with others, potentially opening up about your feelings, your vulnerabilities, sharing what you're actually going through. 4th of October. Also active day before, day after, Venus trines Saturn. I mean, you seem to work really well in collaboration with someone maybe who is based abroad, maybe someone from a different country or from a different culture. You seem to achieve potentially some sort of a goal connected with your academic path or with a legal matter. You could also discuss about a trip and maybe agree on I don't know, the itinerary, on potentially the plans connected with a trip. It could be a business trip, it could be a professional trip, but nevertheless, you seem to be quite pleased with how kind of like things seem to unfold in this direction. 8th of October, active day before, day after, Venus trines Mars. This is really sexy. It's a great time for a date. It's a great time to make room for like a passionate encounter. If you are with someone, you can still take a partner on a date. They might surprise you and take you on a date, or kind of like have something fun and entertaining planned for the two of you to enjoy together. If you're planning to travel with a partner, or if you've been thinking, you know what, we should, I don't know, like book those tickets, this is another great day to do so. It's also a really good day to get physically active in a fun way, or to go out and attend some sort of a cultural, potentially event, together with someone else. I gotta say, either a romantic partner, or if you have kids and maybe you've been thinking, you know what, I'm gonna surprise my kid and like do this exciting thing for them that I know is gonna make them happy. 8th of October, also day before and day after, this is the time to take advantage of. 9th of October, Jupiter goes retrograde in your 4th house of home and family and living situation. So if you've been experiencing any sort of expansion home-wise, family-wise, living situation-wise since May of this year, Pisces. So let's say you've been, I don't know, like working on extending the home or like renovating the home. With Jupiter going retrograde, you may want to slow down a little bit with the expansion. You may want to consolidate the way in which things have expanded so far in the home space and in the family space. If you've been considering potentially, maybe purchasing something else, property-wise, real estate-wise, I'd say it's probably a good idea to reevaluate your options and potentially not to rush into anything. I'm gonna say maybe until the end of this year at least. There's gonna be a Mercury retrograde also. Mercury rules your fourth house of home and living situation in end of November until the middle of December. So I wouldn't rush into buying something immediately. I would just kind of like evaluate logically and take a bit of time to do so. Your options. That's my recommendation, Pisces. 13th of October, Mercury enters Scorpio in your 9th house for the rest of the month. You're probably going to be thinking a lot about traveling, foreign lands, foreign countries, any sort of like maybe legal matters that you need to deal with. Let's say, for example, you need to, I don't know, pay taxes on something, or maybe investigate, do some research on the laws in a different country. If you're looking to, I don't know, purchase property someplace else, let's say. You might also be thinking philosophically about the meaning of life, and you might realize that some of your kind of like views on the meaning of life, especially when it comes to home life and private life and family life, may have evolved. They may have changed. That is very possible, my dear Pisces. Let's see. 14th of October, the Sun trines Jupiter. I like this. It feels like you're really enthusiastic about some sort of growth and transformation in your private life. Maybe it's going to be something that affects your career as well. So let's say, for example, you are planning to, I don't know, expand the family, and you're thinking, okay, what's that going to mean for my career? What's that going to mean for my kind of like public status? Let's say. It also feels like you are somehow kind of like overcoming maybe a bit of a rough patch potentially in your relationship with a family member or like someone who is really close to you. You could be having some really productive conversations around money. This can also be a really good day when it comes to investments. Maybe you're seeing some big wins. It's a great day potentially to make a big payment if you owe anyone money, or maybe you need to, I don't know, pay off your credit card. However, the Sun also squares Mars. I would be really careful when it comes to thinking that you're super lucky and gambling on something. It's not a good day for gambling. It's not a good day to take unnecessary risks and chances. You might be feeling lucky, but you're not actually that lucky. And if someone comes to, like, not on this day, not on the 14th of October, day before, day after Pisces, you may very well be very lucky in general. But if someone comes to you with this sort of like opportunity and they say, oh, you should invest in this is the next big thing, I would take all of that with a pinch of salt and not rush. That is my recommendation. Also, again, this is not financial advice. You're completely responsible for the way that you manage your money and for your decisions financially. If you are dating anyone, I would not take unnecessary risks either around this time. And I'm especially thinking if you're dating someone new and if you're looking to get like real cozy with them, maybe don't rush into it. Or if you do, maybe take precautionary measures. That's just my recommendation. I'm being super extra cautious. Venus opposes Uranus. Your travel plans could change on the 14th of October. There could be a strike, I don't know, like a train strike, or there could be disruption on the road. You may need to have like a plan B, a bit of a backup plan. Something could also shake up maybe your existing mode of transportation. Let's say you get a flat tire or something random like this. It's not a biggie, it's fixable, obviously, but it could frustrate you a bit because it's like throwing your plans out the window and it might be making you late somewhere. 16th of October, also active day before and day after. Venus trines Neptune, a super romantic day, probably the most romantic day of the month. This is a great time to say yes to a date, take someone out on a date. It's a great day to also immerse yourselves, Pisces, in really creative, imaginative activities, I'd say. Imagination is knows no limits on this day, and you seem to be able to channel it in a very, very, very beautiful way. You also seem to be able to teach someone something about relationships and potentially even help someone who's going through a hard time in a relationship kind of like matter. If you're going through a hard time relationship-wise, you are getting a little bit of relief. Someone is helping you. Someone is making things easier for you. And you might even feel like you're kind of like forgiving whoever has hurt you, I'd say. It's a very powerful day for healing when it comes to relationships, my dear Pisces. If you're looking for any sort of like answers when it comes to a relationship matter, I would also meditate, because the answer seems to come from higher above. 17th of October, active day, well, not day before, 3 days before, 3 days after, because it's a full moon. We've got a full moon activating your financial axis. It's a little bit of a tricky one. A lot of money might come out of your pocket. You might need to spend quite a bit of money on kids or financial matters, and how these relate to children might be at the forefront of your mind. There could be some unexpected expenses. There could also be some big expenses that make you a little bit angry around not just children, but maybe also your passions and hobbies. Potentially something that you used to, I don't know, like pay for has become a bit more expensive than it used to be, and you could get quite frustrated because you might be wondering, okay, so if tennis classes are now more expensive, how am I going to get, I don't know, like 3 classes a week, or I don't know, that's just a random example, but essentially something that you're really passionate about might have gone up in price. There could also be some sort of a full-blown crisis in relation to someone that you love. It could be a romantic partner, it could be a kid, it could be both. People are hurt. People might say things when they're hurt. They might yell, they might scream, they might cry. Crying is a theme around this time. If anyone cries, remember that you can hold space for them, and that might just be the only thing that they need. If someone, I don't know, like says an unkind thing to you, and even if it's someone that you really love and you're like, why are you saying these things? They really hurt me. I do believe you can be the person who offers this sort of like emotionally soothing energy towards them, and you can be very forgiving, and you can be very understanding and compassionate, and I believe that this can de-escalate things. Financially, I would also look at whatever needs to be cut out of your life from like an expenses perspective. Don't worry so much about what others are going to do or say if you stop paying for something, because it's not going to affect your relationships. At least that's how I'm seeing it. On the contrary, others might be a lot more understanding than you thought they would be. 17th of October also until the 11th of November, Venus transit Sagittarius in your house of career. I love this. This is a beautiful time from a professional perspective. You might feel like you attract professional opportunities. You're very appreciated in the public sphere, not just professionally, but in general. Your reputation gets a boost. You might form some important connections and collaborations that will help you from a reputational perspective, but also from a career perspective, my dear Pisces. Venus also rules your 3rd house. It's a really good time from the 17th of October until the 11th of November to have the important conversations career-wise that you know are going to boost your career, with the only exception being the 20th of October when you're not in the mood or when you might come across as like too serious for something. It also feels like the spotlight in the public sphere is going to be placed very much on your relationship sector and how that is evolving, I'd say, from the 17th of October until the 11th of November. If you're looking to get a job, if you're looking to, I don't know, schedule an interview, if you're looking to get a raise, if you're looking to start collaborating with someone professionally, from the 17th of October until the 11th of November is when I would recommend taking action in this direction, just being also like open to what comes your way, because Venus is a very receptive energy, with the only exception being the 28th of October when you might need to say no to someone or set a stronger boundary. 20th of October, Venus squares Saturn. Boundaries are key in relationships, even when it comes to boundaries between you and someone that you love really, really, really strongly. You might feel a little bit torn between, on the 20th of October, between wanting to please maybe a boss or someone in a position of power and looking after yourselves, Pisces. Maybe you're not feeling that good, maybe you're not feeling that well. Therefore, you could be a little bit torn internally. You could be a little bit down from an emotional perspective on this day. You might be also a bit upset and not necessarily want to share with the world what's going on in your life. And if you need to take space, take time. That's my recommendation. Now, going a little bit back in time, 22nd of October, the sun enters Scorpio in your 9th house. So for the next month, the spotlight is going to be placed very much, Pisces, on legal matters in your life, potentially traveling, potentially where you're headed from an academic perspective. If you're looking to, I don't know, like study, you might also feel like you've got some work to do in connection with foreign lands, foreign countries, like actual work. So you might have a to-do list, potentially also a to-do list involving legal matters, I'd say. There could also be an opportunity for you throughout Scorpio season to play the role of the guide and of the mentor in a work sector, in a work environment. Now, going back to the 28th of October, Venus squares Saturn, but also on the same day, and it's going to be active day before, day after, Mars trines Saturn. I feel like this is a day in which you can work hard by yourselves, Pisces, to achieve something that you're really into, that you're really passionate about, maybe to work on one of your, I don't know, like, on one of the projects that are really close to your heart. I don't necessarily see working collaboratively really well on the 28th of October, but by yourselves, Pisces, and you might be a little bit kind of like moody on this day. By yourselves, you seem to be making a lot of progress. You also seem to be honoring your maybe your anger, your rage, your frustration, and it's kind of like dimming down a little bit as a result. You seem to be working through it somehow. You could also be spending money on something that brings you joy on this day, or spending money on your kids, or maybe a combination of both. You could also be spending money around this day on maybe a trip or something that is connected with foreign lands and foreign countries. Hard work that requires focus and concentration, but that is also somehow kind of like fun. So maybe, I don't know, you've been studying something that is like hard, but also fun for you. These types of activities are really nicely aspected on the 28th of October and the day before and the day after, my dear Pisces. Folks, that's it. This is your October horoscope. I want to thank you once again for tuning in. And I would love to hear from you how October plays out in your lives. Don't forget that if you want to work with me one-to-one, I'm a full-time consulting astrologer. I work with clients on a day-to-day basis. You can find me on my website, which is writteninthestars-astrology.com. That is writteninthestars-astrology.com. You can go straight to the services section, and that is where you can purchase a personal reading, a personal consultation with me. I do these personal consultations via Zoom, and we can absolutely record them so that you can re-listen if you would like to. I'm also active on Instagram. My Instagram handle is @ruxunbelievable in one word, ruxunbelievable. That is my only Instagram account, and I'm never gonna message you asking you for stuff. I mean, sometimes I know there's like fake accounts out there pretending to be other people. No, I've only got one Instagram account. It's @ruxunbelievable, and that's it. If my content is interesting, if it's useful, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And also you can make a donation to my channel if you feel like it, using the thanks button underneath the video. Enjoy October, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.